Yeah. Who wants to recap? Not John. He did it last week. If you don't volunteer,
This
I
is
will
too
volunteer.
long-winded.
I'll do it.
There you go. I was going to say, if you don't volunteer, I will volunteer you.
So we started last session by seeing the werewolves about to fight that owl bear, and we managed to retreat back to our party where we warned everybody about the werewolves and how they might come here, and we set up some watches, and then we saw an injured werewolf uh, come back towards our cave and collapse. So we went out, healed him, and then he was resting, and then a strange we went out to check the scene again, but while some of us were out there expecting this where the werewolf attack was the night before, a strange woman came and approached the others who were in the camp and was demanding the body of the werewolf that had uh, been injured that was at our camp, and she would not really give any information about herself or anything, but this is the first sign of other people we'd seen. So after the rest of the party regrouped, she introduced herself, said she was some sort of a hunter of these people or protector, and she brought us back to her village where we learned there was actual other settlements in the world, not just Bastion. And we met some nice people. And then today we're going to meet the elders. And we all leveled up.
Excuse me. Yes, you, anyone feel a need to add anything? Anything you feel is relevant or pertinent?
These people are very, very diverse from the point of the person who led us here is taciturn and she's completely a little off-putting and giving everybody the cold shoulder, whereas her wife wants to adopt us because we're at her house. That's enough reason.
Yeah, that's diversity is a thing. How about that? I will.
So her life is adorable.
Yeah, I did want to briefly, as we started, thank you to Conrad because I almost totally spaced. You guys did level up to level 3, or you should have. Hopefully, you've done that by now. If real quick, we could just for my edification, and just to kind of get everybody warmed up, why don't we run through real quick? Just you can give like a brief overview of like what you took, like what did you. So we'll just run down the list. You don't have to tell me exactly like what spells if you took spells, but like what you got, I guess, for level 3. So why don't we start with Yinkin?
Yinkin got level 3 spells, or level 2 spells, excuse me, at level 3.
Did you get anything else, shape shifting or anything else like restricted?
Nothing like that. Powered up now.
Okay, all right. Faith.
I got a level 2 spell. I got Cutting Words, so I can use my reaction to lower the ability to hit, potentially using a Bardic Inspiration, and I also went Bard of Lore, so I got some extra proficiencies in skills, including Medicine, and I'm not sure what else I took offhand. Maybe Acrobatics. I didn't actually write it down.
Okay. Gabriel?
I gained second level spells. I gained Meta Magic, which I took Empowered and Subtle. And I gained the Azamar ability of Radiant Soul.
Okay. Marcus?
Well, I'm multi-class, so I went to level 2 Monk, which means I just got my key points and feels like Flurry of Blows, Patient Defense, and Step of the Wind.
Okay. All right. And last but not least, Giselle?
All I got was level 2 spells.
Okay. All right. So, cool. All right. So, yeah, you guys, last we left off, you had arrived in Haven Rock, and Whoops. Yeah, you met some new folks, and you were offered a little barn, as I recall. And you are resting for the evening before your first full day in Haven Rock. So you guys all bed down in this barn, kind of down below on the ground level, outside, just outside of the mesa. And you all rest after several long weeks. Well, at least a long week of travel and survival. Yeah. What do you do? If you want to play out the night before, or if we just want to start with you guys waking up in the morning, we can do that. That's up to you.
Whether it happens in the evening or the following morning, I think I want to group everyone together before they go to sleep, or, like I said, wake everyone up so that we're all together to discuss what our actual plan is from here. Because we could use Haven Rock as a quote-unquote haven for us to at least work out of or find our own way. I know there's at least a couple of you that are set on returning to Bastion, which would require us to bring some information back. So prior to going to see the den mothers, if you will, what do you think our plan should be?
I was under the impression that we have to pass some sort of screening or test to even stay here. So I'm not really sure that there's any use in making a plan until we know what they say, what is expected of us.
But do we want to stay here, or do we want to move on? I think that's one of the decisions we need to make.
And what I'm trying to say is we don't know enough yet to make those decisions. I'd like to stay on the pure fact that somebody thinks I'm attractive and not just a demonic force. If you understand what I mean. It's a very different place here. They're more accepting, at least on the surface. But I'm not going to say that I will stay here regardless just because of that fact until I know exactly what's expected of me, what's expected of any of us. They've said they gave the impression that there are others that have come through here from Bastion, but they didn't seem to mention if they stayed or not, and that's concerning.
And I just kind of glance over at Yinkin, who's been most vocal about returning to Bastion.
I
Any of
need
your
to
thoughts?
return. We know that already. And to be perfectly honest, I'm not entirely sure if I'm returning to be with my family or returning to get my family out.
We only made it this far because of you.
Yes.
And
Well, and he's like blushing and stammering because he does not believe that for a heartbeat.
So, I mean, depending on what's expected of us, getting your family out might be the best answer. But we're getting ahead of ourselves, still.
I'm more worried about the fact that the longer I think about this, the longer I realize that it was implied that Raquela is a creature like the one that she hunted.
She seems to have it under control, though.
Yes, but that's
fact,
just the point. How many others don't? And how can you tell the difference? I've never heard of anything like that before.
As far as we know, this entire community is like that.
And that's something I think we need to find out before we even begin to consider staying or not. Although I know some people, and I glance at oh god, which one was it? I think it was Dala or Jija, who was like convinced they were staying.
Jija.
Yeah, Jija.
Jija totally turned code on us as soon as somebody else appeared.
Would I know anything about the whole werewolf concept, how it's passed, how it's contracted? Just maybe from reading or something.
I mean,
Stories.
I think, you made a roll about this before. I think you know that, I can't remember what I said last time, but that some folks sometimes turn kind of bestial. There's different theories about how it actually happens. None of them have been necessarily confirmed for you yet.
Okay.
Also, I don't know if it sounds like this to anyone else. Mel, you kind of sound far away.
Yeah.
Mic gun head. Sorry.
That works. That's much better. Thank you.
Yep. Sorry, I was singing before.
Be thankful that she. Never mind. Anyway,
Oh no.
Okay. So
Smart enough not to continue his sentence.
I'm well trained.
Yes. So sorry, you're having this conversation, and yeah, Jija definitely expressed a desire to stay. He has found safety and warmth, and I think he has no. In fact, he wants no part of this conversation. As far as he's concerned, he's found home.
He called us weirdos, so I don't know.
He did.
Yeah,
That is
all things
absolutely
considered. If for the record, Yinkin is actually looking at Jija, and we're being ditched like that. It's complete disapproval because let's
Yeah.
face it, he has contributed absolutely nothing to our survival.
Yep.
He doesn't
Kinda
contribute anything
disgusted.
to anybody's survival. Why would they want to keep him?
He did help cook the chickens.
Congratulations. He knows
Yeah.
what fire
The
is.
chickens that almost
wasn't
made
a
you
great
guys
idea.
barf.
That's a good point. Do you say that like aloud? That he's
No,
contributed
but it's
nothing,
just
or-
one of those, like, the more we went on, the more, like, the little kid, despite being a pickpocket, picked up a bow and is trying to learn. Dala, I think, was at least ostensibly, like, helping out during the course of things. The old man and freaking Jija are just kind of there.
The old man's comic relief.
The old man is comic relief. And Chandra at least had the excuse of, the very first day we were out here, I fell into a pit of scorpions.
trauma. Yeah.
She also didn't try to abandon us the first second she could.
Right. Though that does bring to the forefront of thought that whatever test, assuming it is a test we're to be put through, are we going to be put through as individuals, or will our success or failure depend on us as a group? And if so, and I look at the old man, I look at even the kid. Do we have to trim the fat to make sure we can continue to survive or stay if necessary?
No, that's just no. I'm not. That's not good. I won't leave them behind, but they need to learn to step up.
I
They
feel
don't-
like it would look bad for us if we just abandoned half of our party anyways. So
But it's something that needs to be considered. It's not a nice fact, but... And she just kind of
Well,
shrugs.
I'm probably not going to be staying.
Oh,
I wasn't actually exiled like the rest of you. I
That's
chose
right.
to leave.
all right. I haven't asked this because, quite frankly, I wasn't sure if we were going to live long enough for it to matter. But why?
There's something out here I need to find. Fortunately, I don't know what that is yet, but
I am not against finding out new things, but usually I at least have a direction for mine. I need
Did
to
you
figure
have,
out
like,
more
a-
about this. And I just make the flame in my hand and close it again. I still don't know why it works.
did you have like a vision or something?
something like that.
Interesting.
Please don't tell me you talk to rats too.
No.
Would you like me to prove that I can talk to my rat?
Oh, I've seen you talk to the rat
Ugh.
plenty of times.
Yeah,
I mean, seriously, that my rat can talk back.
Not right now. Quite frankly, I'm going to assume this is the previous night that we haven't gone to sleep yet, just out of,
Yeah, that's what I'm
Paranoia's
assuming
sake.
as well.
quite frankly, we have the closest thing to a bed that we've had in over a week. I am inclined to rest and see what the morrow brings, but I'm still going to stand watch for at least part of the night. Because if one of them can go rogue, any of them can go rogue. We don't know them well enough to make the distinction.
It's a fair point.
So
I'll take up a watch as well once he's setting in for his trance, was it?
That's what Father called it.
Okay. So are you guys settling in for the night? A couple of you are still taking watch?
Believe so.
Yep.
yeah, Marcus will probably take a watch too.
Okay.
I'd like to do something before I go to bed. I'm gonna ritual cast Find Familiar,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm gonna turn Mr. Sprinkles into a raven.
Okay. And you, I assume, summon him directly to you inside the barn.
Yes,
Okay.
and then I'm gonna let him out.
Okay.
I propose that none of the rest of the party saw her do this, so we just think a raven ate her rat.
Yeah, probably.
But now she's going to talk to a raven.
Yeah, sure, of course. Okay.
Ravens have mimicry, though. He can actually talk back to me now.
Okay. So, yeah, you guys all bed down for the evening. A few of you take watch. I imagine you can tell me otherwise, but I imagine it's probably weird sleeping here. For the first time, you have some relative measure of safety. At least you can expect, maybe some of you don't, that people aren't going to come and like stab you to death in your sleep. But for the first time in quite some time, you have a restful, quiet night. You know, you hear the wind howling, you hear the river in the distance. Very occasionally you hear, yeah, you have a roof. Very occasionally you probably hear like some of the animals outside grazing or like walking about, stuff like that. I don't know if there's chickens here. There's definitely sheep, some goats.
I totally didn't mean to hit the button. I'm so sorry.
It's okay. Okay, so yeah, you guys rest. A couple of you take watch and probably just watch your friends sleep and, you know, listen to the sounds of the animals outside. You know, there's a relatively uneventful, quiet evening for a change. And who of you is first to rise?
I know Yinkin's up with the dawn just out of habit.
I'm probably up too because I only need the trance.
Yeah, so early in the morning, very early, Yinkin, you're probably the first to hear it. You know, the sun begins to rise, the barn begins to warm. It does that thing where it's a very gentle warming at first. You know, the sun rises and it starts to warm up the wood of the barn, and everything starts to slowly warm up. You hear the animals starting to rustle outside and grazing and, you know, being more active. You know, the sound of light hoofbeats outside. And I think you start to hear some pleasant whistling outside. People, it sounds like somebody or some people are kind of gathering outside and starting to go about their daily lives, you know, early to rise, that kind of thing.
Home
Yeah.
sweet home.
Yeah, so you guys get to...
This is like the first morning I actually don't wake anybody. I let them wake up on their own unless something disturbs us.
Okay. So yeah, you guys start to wake up. You start to rouse with the dawn. Maybe some of you sleep in. What do you guys do?
Faith sleeps in.
Marcus wakes up pretty early and goes outside and does some monk training move things, martial arts stuff.
You're doing some Tai Chi, basically, first thing in the morning?
I summon an unseen servant and make it brush my hair.
With what?
I have a purse with a brush, I'm sure.
I mean, you definitely don't have a purse.
Well, I have a backpack.
But yeah, you could have tied some bones together and made like a really rudimentary brush.
Oh, that's what we use the chickens for.
I could carve you a comb out of a plank of wood or something.
That would be amazing. Are you a wood carver?
Yeah. That's what
Interesting.
how
Oh,
I earn
right.
my
You got
food.
that wood on the road, didn't you?
I also made their fishing pole.
Have you carved anything yet?
Yeah, the fishing pole. Faith has it.
You got another piece of wood while we're on the road, though.
Very cute. I've never heard any wood jokes in my line of work. That was the first one. You're a genius.
I am.
Congratulations. My 6-year-old actually has a more refined sense of humor. And Yinkin just slow claps.
What did I miss?
Absolutely nothing.
Okay.
Yeah, so you guys begin to rise. You're hearing more activity coming from outside of the barn. People are obviously getting to work, but it's still quite early in the day. Yeah, so you guys rise as you please. Sleeping in for some of you, and you hear like a gentle rapping at the door.
Wow, that is actually a sound I didn't know what it was right away. Come in.
And the door kind of creaks open, and there's a young woman that you've not met before. Probably in her teens, like early teens. Good morning. We thought y'all might be kind of hungry. Papa sent me to offer you anything. Make sure you slept all right. The sheep didn't keep you up. Got some bread and things. Got a few eggs here if you wanted. She you see that she's only like cracking the door, but you see she's got like a basket and it's got like a small kind of like towel like thing on top of it.
I rush over the door and open it wider.
She kind of like instinctively like braces, like she's worried as fast as you're moving. And she just kind of
by the way, I'm a little bit faster now. My movement speed went up.
Oh yeah, okay. And so she just kind of like lurches back a little bit in fear.
I said, "You brought bread?"
Oh,
Don't mind him. He's rather harmless so long as you have food.
I mean, just bread in particular. It's been so long.
Is it warm? Is it still warm from the
if it's
oven?
fresh.
That's the best.
well,
Is there butter?
well, we do have some spread here. And she just kind of like takes her whole arm and stretches it out to you, Marcus, for you to take the basket.
I'm Giselle, by the way.
I grab the basket and I take out a loaf of bread and I hand the basket to somebody else. And I just break the loaf in half and start eating part of it.
Well, all right.
Thank you very much.
Right. Good morning. And she just rushes off, the door just slowly closes and she just disappears. She's just scared. She's
Bye.
I'm just gonna look at Marcus.
Yeah,
Really?
exactly.
I hand the other loaf off to anybody, the other half. I say,
Faith
"What?
will
You
take
guys
it.
want some?"
I'm not arguing
Yes.
that, but there's enthusiasm. Never mind. I don't want to know why you're that enthusiastic about
It's
bread.
like a
Have you ever
hungry wolf.
starved?
Not recently, no.
Right.
I used to a lot.
That I can understand then. Why bread in particular? Why not the... Idly looks at what else is in the basket.
I mean, bread is amazing, especially when it's fresh and hot out of the oven with a little bit of butter on top.
Or honey.
Yeah, I almost got
Oh,
Honey.
honey.
got
Ladies.
killed for a loaf of bread once. So
Fair.
I heard somebody
Really?
yeah,
got
I was
heard
one jump
somebody
ahead of him.
put into the. Oh God.
Oh,
I knew it was going to happen at some point in
okay,
this
turn your
campaign.
familiar into a freaking monkey and put a fez on his head.
If I go back to the chain, can I get a monkey familiar?
What is happening? I am so lost.
Aladdin
I was gonna make
reference.
a Jean Valjean reference, but that's way better.
Oh,
He made an Aladdin reference.
Okay.
He's literally
One jump ahead.
one step away from becoming Aladdin.
Gotcha.
With
Okay.
Genie.
Right. Sure.
Sorry, back on track.
I doubt that, but okay.
On track-ish.
So you guys, you enjoy your breakfast. There's a couple eggs in there. There's some obviously fresh bread. Some spread for the bread, and the bread is in fact warm. I mean, it tastes like it was probably baked this morning.
This is making me hungry, like in real life.
Yeah, it's.
Hey, I just had a peanut butter and jelly that was to die for.
Anyway,
Once Faith eats, I'm back on track again. She's actually gonna grab her lute and just kind of play background music, more upbeat than she has in the past, just kind of a jaunty country-esque tune.
Okay. So you guys all kind of wake up together. You eat breakfast. It's maybe a little strange for you, right? I mean, it's you guys
breakfast is more than a berry for the first time in a week.
Yeah, you guys are like having a proper meal. You're eating together. You're chatting with one another, laughing maybe a little bit. Yeah,
Definitely an easier atmosphere than out for anything that's going to come and kill you.
it is. If nothing else, it is most assuredly that. Yeah, and Jija kind of, Dala waits for you guys to kind of grab the bread and everything, and she kind of expects some, and there's enough for everybody. Jija kind of runs over to the basket and grabs a few bites, and just like sort of separates himself from the rest of you as best as he can. The unspoken language here is obvious. Like he doesn't want to be a part of whatever you're doing, and he kind of like breaks off into a corner of the barn and just like eats to himself quietly. And Chandra and of course eats, the boy eats. The old man will grab a bite or two, but doesn't seem happy about it.
So, before we go and meet this den mother, I was thinking about this last night, and Bastion has to know about this place.
How so? Like, we need to tell them, or
I
they
mean,
know and
no,
never
I mean
told us?
they must already know.
How do you
It's-
figure? This place was at least a week and a half of travel
Through the
away.
Badlands.
They know about
But-
Bastion,
So
so it does
in the
make
last,
sense.
we've been doing this for what, at least 50 to 80 years. Like, we're not the first group that's made it across the Badlands, and someone who made it here would probably have tried to make it back, thinking that would be enough to get let back in.
But they weren't.
But they weren't.
That's a valid point.
Out of curiosity, how high up is this settlement?
Well, I mean, it's the mesa itself is pretty tall. You're on the ground, right? Like the barn sits at the base of the mesa itself.
Okay. I wasn't sure if we were on the mesa,
You're not.
like
No.
on the top of it, or at the bottom. Okay, that's what I was confirming.
My understanding is everything was built into the side of the mesa.
Exactly.
Okay.
Are there like caves then, in addition to the wooden structures that are,
That's an
built
excellent
on the
question.
side of it?
As yet, you've not seen any, but I mean, it's
Okay.
maybe a reasonable assumption for you to make.
All right then. A proper breakfast and a proper night's sleep. I'm already feeling better.
Yeah, and you guys hear, it's definitely early morning, probably about 8 or so. You're hearing the animals moving around, and you're hearing one fairly specific sounding whistle. Somebody is whistling a pleasant tune. Just sounds like something that someone would whistle, while they work. But it's like upbeat and kind of happy. And you hear some like quiet laughter coming from outside as you guys are finishing your breakfast and everything else. As soon as G just done eating, like he steps out, like he steps out of the barn before the rest of you, and you guys all finish up your meals. And what's on the agenda?
I'm almost positive she said, "Don't go wandering off," and yet there he goes.
Should we go stop him?
Nah. Let him get in trouble. Maybe they'll kill him.
No, I don't want anyone to die, but I'm not sure I want to stop him either.
It's not really our place. He's
We're
I
adults.
can have Mr. Sprinkles follow him if you want.
No, thank you. We don't need rats running around this place the day after we
Oh, he's
arrive.
not a rat
It sets bad
anymore.
precedent.
And Mr. Sprinkles lands on her shoulder. He's a raven now.
Yinkin is just dead quiet for a minute and just looks back at the rest of everybody. I'm the sane one, right? Not her?
I mean, we're traveling with her.
Who's the more foolish? Fool or the fool who follows him?
Anyway, again, we're all adults. We all have our instructions. We were told not to wander. I don't see a reason to put the rest of our judgments in peril because they decided not to listen. They want to stay here. They can, and they think that's going to help them. Fine, but I'm going to do what I was told until we know more.
Fair. However, I'm going to peek my head outside the barn to see if I can find out who's whistling and if they're waiting for us to pop out to go hey, go. Now that you're up, go someplace.
Yeah, and you pop your head out and you see a halfling woman. Not sure that because I don't recall. I don't think there were many, if there were any halflings in Bastion. Hard for you to gauge her age. She's probably older, given that her hair is gone like a dark gray. And she's got it in very tight braids. Not dreads, but tight braids that run from the front of her head to the back. And she's got on what clearly looks to you like workers' clothes. Her sleeves are quite literally rolled up. She has on these like sturdy looking shoes. And she appears to be... she's kind of like near the fence, and a couple of the goats have come, and she's like feeding them and brushing them. And she hears the creak of the door open behind you, and she kind of turns back, and she's got this very warm smile on her face. She just smiles at you. She says, I was about to bust in. I didn't know if y'all were decent. Didn't want to interrupt anything. She kind of like gives you a little sly wink.
Yinkin just kind of grins and chuckles, shaking his head. No, not interrupting anything, but I appreciate you not barging in. There are a few people who might take offense. And good morning.
And to you as well. Y'all want to come out and enjoy the day? It's a rather beautiful one, if I do say so myself. You can see that there's just a few clouds just drifting off in the distance. This beautiful blue sky. Nice warm. It's probably gonna get pretty hot. It's gonna get kind of hot, but right now it's early enough that it's just that early morning warm. You can already see there's a couple beads of sweat like on her forehead from work.
Yeah, Yinkin's just going to take a really deep breath before letting it out and nodding. It is indeed a beautiful day, but from what I understand, Raquella asked us not to wander too far, and I would hate to intrude upon her hospitality further.
Well, she's young, a bit defensive. Don't think you'll be getting into any trouble just wandering about for a bit. Y'all are welcome here, right? Folks seem to welcome you.
As far as I know.
Yeah, well, you don't tell anybody, I won't. She kind of winks at you.
Sounds fair to me. And I'll just open the door up so that people can follow and let some actual light in. I'm sorry, I didn't get your name, ma'am.
No, you didn't. She just kind of smiles, turns back, and starts feeding the goats.
He just chuckles and nods. Fair enough. And Yinkin's just going to sit outside for a bit and enjoy the sun on his skin that doesn't involve a harsh beating sun and strange storms and scorpions and...
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you feel that wind blowing through, and you watch the clouds drift. It's a beautiful sight. So Yinkin kind of steps out. What does everyone else do?
Faith will get up and stretch and kind of peek out, but she'll linger close to the barn, like she doesn't wander too far. Some of her more natural, cautious. Again, the first people were at least somewhat accepting, but now seeing something that she doesn't recognize in the halfling, she's not so sure anymore if that opinion may change with something other than a human.
Is there somewhere to stand that's not in the sun? That's close to the barn?
Yeah, I mean, there's like an overhang in front of the barn that you could kind of hang out, and hang out in the shade.
Okay. I'm really fair-skinned, and I don't want to get too many freckles.
And the halfling woman just keeps working. She goes out, and you see her like starting to brush some of the sheep, and she's feeding them, and there appears to be a goat who's very clearly pregnant that she's spending some time with, and making sure it gets cleaned up and gets fresh water and what have you. And you see a couple people off in the distance kind of tending to other sheep, and they appear to be shepherds of a sort. But she doesn't linger near you, but you can see her. She's not far off. And you guys are all kind of like, for some reason, I got a picture in my head of like James Dean hanging outside of like the jail, where you guys are all just hanging out there waiting, waiting in that hot sun. What's the name of that film with the eggs? Was that James? No.
Willy Wonka?
No. That wasn't James Dean, was it? Shit, it's gonna drive me nuts. So yeah, you guys are kind of hanging out for a little while, and you guys are hanging out, and the people keep working, and the woman wanders off tending to the flock, and after a little while, it's probably about 9 or so in the morning at this point. You see two silhouettes coming from the rock, from the mesa itself. And they're approaching, and it doesn't take you long to see that it looks like Raquela, and next to her, Ciala. And Raquela just has this, like, glum look on her face, like, she's got to do this, it's work. Ciala just looks excited, like you see this bright smile on her face. The two of them kind of walk up, and Ciala has, she brings herself, like, a basket, clearly hand-woven, but well done. She says, good morning to all of you. You guys, you rest well? Do you sleep? And she's, her eyes definitely linger on you, Faith, for a moment. She said she just looks at you, and her eyes kind of glitter for a moment looking at you. She said, I brought you some food. I didn't know if anyone else would bring you anything to eat. I know, we just try to take care of our guests. And
A young woman said her father insisted we get something to eat, but I look to Marcus. I'm sure he wouldn't say no to seconds.
Did you bring more bread?
I got a couple rolls here, sure. I did bring some
Asshole!
some proper some proper food though. I got some pieces of fish here. They're dried, but they're tasty. And Raquela just sort of interrupts. She says, "They've already eaten, Ciala." Well, I know, but they might still be. And like Raquela
it was just bread.
Your hospitality is amazing. I thank you both.
I would like some tea.
And,
Really?
Okay. And Raquela says, "Well, we should be about our business then. The day's not getting any shorter." And she kind of like gestures for all of you to follow back toward the mesa.
Yeah,
All
I'll
right
make
then.
moves to follow.
Yep, same.
Okay. You see, you guys are walking away. More clouds are just kind of lazily like floating by, and you see the shepherds out in the fields and come up to the mesa, and you see quite a bit of activity. A lot of people working. You guys start to head up the stairs into the rock wall there, into the side, and heading up the stairs. You see people. There's potters, there's weavers, there's people just working, and Raquela is kind of walking ahead of you quite a few steps, but Ciel is keeping closer to you guys. She wants to make sure you don't get lost or anything. She's trying to be a gracious host. And you see all these folks working, and some people look up to you, and there's a variety of folk here. There's humans, there's halflings. You even see a couple half elves. No dwarves to speak of. But yeah, mostly humans, halflings, couple half elves here and there. People look up at you, give you smiles, stuff like that. A few people look at you a little wearily. And I think like as you guys are kind of being led through the Northcom, Gija kind of like breaks through all of you, and he runs to the front, and he's trying to walk alongside Raquela, which is difficult because she's keeping a good stride. And you hear him talking to her from up ahead, and he's saying, I've got things to offer. I've got skills. I can make pots just like these folk. I can do anything you need. Not a strong man, but like, and you can hear him. I mean, he's practically like begging her. And Raquela is just basically putting on her stoic face and isn't really responding to it. And you guys kind of weave up more stairs, and you're heading up along the wall. More people working. There's some children at points who kind of like run up and like walk alongside you, and a couple of them are definitely focused on Giselle and Gabriel, or not Giselle, Faith and Gabriel more than the rest of you. Obviously there's kind of something about them that draws attention. And takes you probably a good 30 minutes to kind of hike up through the village. And you get near the top, and you can see there that there appear to be what look like, they're dressed in a similar fashion to Raquela. They look like hunters. They're armed. They have leather armor on. They have javelins and bows. Each of them sports at least one dagger. And they're standing outside of an archway that very obviously, as Marcus alluded to earlier, obviously cuts into the rock. And they both kind of nod at Raquela, and she nods back. And she looks at all of you. She says, "You wish to speak with Rocky Wea, no?" She's asking you.
We would, absolutely.
And one of the guards kind of steps forward. Fairly young-looking man, probably early 20s. He says, "Raquela, nobody's seen Rocky all day." And Raquela, there's a look that crosses Raquela's face, crosses her face that just looks like an exhausted lack of surprise. And she looks back at the man. Again. Young man just shrugs. Raquela says, "Isn't it your job to watch her?" Young man just shrugs again. "You know how she is. She just slips away." And you guys are all just kind of standing there looking around, and the guards just look like they have nothing to offer here. And you hear coming from behind you the same way you came up. You hear some people laughing and talking, and like there's a volume that seems to be coming up from behind you. People are laughing, and you kind of turn back to look down the way you came, down this kind of ramp, and you see that same halfling woman. And she's got a little baby sheep in her arms. And everyone's like running up and like petting the sheep. And she looks up at all of you. Hello again. You guys have an hack?
It was refreshing to be able to do it without looking over my shoulder constantly.
Yes.
That's wonderful. And Raquela goes and steps through you guys to the woman. She says, Rocky, you need to stop wandering off. Come on, baby girl. You know me. You want me to sit in some damn chair all day? Got work to do. Her sleeves are still rolled up. You can see the sweat and the dirt and this little baby sheep. And she's like petting the sheep. She like holds the sheep up to Raquela. She says, look at this face. Look at it. It's adorable. Look at Raquela. And Ciala comes over and giggles and is like petting the sheep. And Raquela just looks completely beside herself like, we're doing this again. And Rocky looks at all of you. She says, well, I guess we should get this over with, huh? Yeah, y'all mind excusing me. She kind of like just gently like walks through you guys. And she's not forcing any of you aside. And she looks at the guards up at the two men. You boys are just a constant disappointment. No fun at all. Yes, ma'am. And she kind of like walks into this opening into the mesa. And
Well then.
Ciala's got this big smile on her face. She just looks super happy. Raquela looks completely fucking miserable. And Raquela just looks at all of you and says, I promise she's one of the wisest women I know.
Obviously, she enjoys a good morning sunrise and getting the work done before the heat of the day. And Yinkin will just start moving in.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, you guys, you follow in, and it gets pretty cold very quickly. Going into these, they're basically caves inside the rock. You know, no sunlight to beam through, and you follow, and you actually have to wind down this tunnel quite a little ways. You know, that's as I described. I think this mesa is huge. So you have to kind of weave through these tunnels, and you can only fit one person. You can't fit shoulder to shoulder. It's not wide enough for that. And you kind of weave through, and finally you can almost feel it, the change in the air pressure. And you come to a room fairly large that's been carved into the cave. And there appears to be two doors, one on the left and then one on the right that seem to go somewhere. Pretty basic looking doors, clearly just made of wood, nothing fancy, nothing metal like that. And you see that this room is quite large, and Rocky has built what looks like a small like bay of head. Jesus Christ. Bed of hay.
I
Was that
I was wondering what the hell
Florian's
it meant for a minute.
Yeah. I don't know. My brain just burped completely. Yeah. A bed of hay.
Can we go to the Bay of Head, though?
I mean, maybe. You'll get there eventually. I don't know. I'd say on the other side of the world, though.
It doesn't do much for me, though.
So,
Interesting.
so yeah, there's this large room, and Rocky is, she is tending to the sheep, and, you can see that there's like a large symbol that's carved in the wall as soon as you walk through. And there's some decorations in here, on the walls, some paintings and things of that nature. And you guys all follow in behind her.
Is the sheep still bleeding this whole way?
No. Sorry, bleeding or...
Bleating. Blah.
Oh, no, it's just a little baby sheep. She's just, yeah, the sheep is quiet, and she's just like tending to it and petting it and everything.
Okay.
And she looks back at all of you, and she's just kind of sitting next to the baby sheep, and she's kind of like cuddling it and making sure it's warm. She says, "So, welcome to Haven Rock." She just kind of like looks at Raquel and gives her a wink. And it's obvious Raquel's hating this. She's hating every goddamn minute of it. And Ciala kind of like breaks through you guys, and she goes over to play with the sheep, and then she like bends down and Rocky Way is kind of like holding the sheep out, and Ciala's petting it and keeping it warm, and the sheep just looks happy. And Raquel says quietly, "I think it's best, Ciala, that we leave them." And you know, there's a look on Ciala's face that she's a little unhappy. She doesn't want to leave the baby sheep, but she kind of nods and looks at Rocky Way, and Rocky gives her a smile. "Don't you worry, baby. The sheep ain't going anywhere." And, you know, there's like a warm moment between them. And Ciala comes up next to Raquel, and she looks at all of you, and Ciala gives you this nice warm, like you can do this kind of smile. And Raquel just looks at all of you and gives you a firm, stolid nod. And then the two of them go to leave. And you're left in the room with Rocky Way, and she's just sitting with this sheep. "So, how y'all doing?"
Better now that we've been brought here.
"Yeah, well, Haven Rock will do that."
Can I pet the sheep too?
"Of course, baby. I'm not going to try to stop you."
She runs over and pets the sheep. It's so cute.
Her eyes kind of drift across all of you, and again, her eyes kind of linger on Faith a little bit, and she smiles at you. And then her eyes kind of fall on Gabriel. "You've been rather quiet, boy. You all right?"
I'm just taking in the drink of water before me, milady. I think introductions are in order. I don't think any of us have at this point. My name is Gabriel. These are obviously my traveling companions. I kind of like point to each person, throw names out, whatnot. As you are already probably made aware, Raquel met us in the wild and very graciously invited us into her home. I'm not entirely sure what was said of us yet, but we asked to meet with you in order to see what our options are. I guess to see if you would be willing to invite us into your community.
"How do you feel about sheep?"
They're warm.
Sheep are good.
One of the most versatile animals on a farm.
She looks at you, Yinkin. She says, "Cute too, huh?"
Always. Until, well, depends. Male or female. The rams get a little, well, they're rams.
Well, sometimes a lady likes to be roughed up a little. Gives you like a little wink.
I like her.
She says, "Your story's a bit unbelievable, if you don't mind my saying. I can't imagine a world in which Raquel invited you into her house." "Oh, I'm sorry. That's simple humor. I'm sure it was that young and Ciala. She's a beautiful girl, isn't she?"
She's a sweetheart.
"You know, I helped bring her into this world, you know.
Wow.
She was a beautiful baby. Smiling, cooing. Most adorable thing in the world." She looks a little somber for a moment.
Can I insight check this situation?
What exactly are you trying to insight?
I want to know if there's like essentially a big. Essentially, the feeling I'm getting as a player is that there's going to be but there's been trouble in the past from people from Bastion, and I want to see if Faith can pick up on something similar.
Yeah, okay.
Nope.
Yeah, no.
It's just staring at the sheep like, I know they make really comfortable clothes, but I've never seen one.
She says, can't imagine how I would feel if some strangers came around and tried to bring harm or ruin to something I brought into this world. Can you imagine that?
Yes,
Who would want to do that? She's so nice.
I know. She's beautiful, isn't she?
Yeah, she is.
but people are greedy and selfish.
That's also true.
Some of them, anyway. Others
Especially
are
idiots from Bastion.
genuinely hospitable.
She says, there's a darkness about y'all. I don't mean to say that you're evil. By no means. Y'all seem like good folk. But I think you understand what I mean when I say that I got to worry about me and mine. That doesn't mean you're not welcome here. But I wouldn't be doing my job, if I didn't investigate such matters.
Well,
One
my
does-
lady, I believe in a sense we've already proven our worth in that regard. I don't believe Raquella would have survived the encounter with the giant scorpion if we hadn't been traveling with her.
Well, she told me about that. If I'm being honest, I don't think she would have encountered it in the first place if she'd been bringing y'all here, but no harm done, like you said. She's a strong hunter. She knows the land. Taught her some of them tricks myself. Back in my younger days.
So, what do you expect of us to prove, or at least continue to prove, that though there is a darkness about us that I won't deny, we are decent folk to be
Well,
allowed?
Decision ain't up to me alone.
Shit.
Got my sisters to consider. But, there's tests we can do. But I guess my curiosity is piqued about a certain in particular thing. What is it you want, exactly? I mean, from the world, from this life. I know what brought you here. I know from where you come. But what is it we have to offer that you would like?
Acceptance.
I think that'll be different for each of us, to be perfectly honest, man.
Well, I do appreciate honesty, son. Please. She kind of like beckons for you to, tell her what it is you want.
He just kind of smiles and walks over to the sheep and very, very gently touches, not someplace that'll hurt the sheep in any way, because I know nothing about baby sheep, so I don't know where he'd touch. But pets it a bit. Quite frankly, I want two things in life. First is I need a safe place for my family. Bastion has proven that it won't be it if it ever was. Second, and he's going to take a step back and he just makes the fire in his hand well away from the sheep. I don't know how this works. And after my family is safe, I plan to figure it out.
She kind of leans forward at you, and she has her eyebrows are arched. She says, "Baby, that's magic. You ain't never heard of magic before?"
It's reviled in where we're
I
from.
keep trying to tell them.
And I just idly, hold a hand up, and it doesn't work the same way as other people's, from what I can tell. I have talked to a few people who use magic very quietly. It's not the same, so I'd like to figure it out.
She kind of shrugs just with her head. I suppose that's fair. You? What is it you want? She looks at you, Marcus.
He said,
I'm not sure, but I don't think I'm going to find it here.
Well, that's not vague and ominous at all. She kind of smiles. She looks up at you, Giselle. You guys are petting the sheep. What about you?
Well, I did want to go back and get revenge on people that threw me out, but now that I'm out here and I know that there's people out here, I I want to learn about the world, more about magic.
She just kind of she looks at you with a pitying look. She says, "Oh, honey, revenge. It's like drinking salt water."
I've made it an occupation.
You drink salt water for a living? She kind of looks at
No,
you and winks like it's an obvious joke, like she's playing with you. What about you,
okay.
handsome man? Looks at you, Gabriel.
There are quite a few things that I'm looking for, um, but none of the things I'm looking for I'm wanting to be given to me without fair trade. I kind of look around at the group with us, traveling through the Outlands with this group for the last week or two. Obviously, there are some of us that are capable of handling ourselves. Some of them are certainly not. The first thing I want is for those that cannot safely travel the outer region to be safe. And if they could utilize this place as a haven, then that would be appreciated. I, as you may tell from my appearance, am from a very rare breed, and I would like to free my people from Bastion and find a place for them. Whether that place is here or elsewhere is yet to be seen, but that is another primary goal of mine.
Lofty goals indeed.
He's a real goody two shoes.
And a flirt, so be careful.
Yes. Guard your panties.
My
Faith just
lady,
kind of smirks at Gabriel.
I apologize for my companions. They seem to misinterpret flirting with courtesy.
And she looks up at you with this like really wry grin on her face. She says, "Oh, don't worry, honey. I don't wear panties."
You can actually
Woo!
chuckle a bit, and
We
he's
need to
blushing
go.
a little bit, but not much.
She goes, grows kind of quiet for a moment. Y'all have some work ahead of you, I think. Haven Rock, I mean, it's a haven after all. You're not the first folk from Bastion that we've helped.
Can you tell us about others that have come here?
I haven't seen any for quite some time.
What about others that have stayed?
Kind of nods. I've had a few that wanted to stay. To be honest with you, they seem like good folk like yourselves. There's a corruption in them. A sort of darkness that taints them, and
Everyone in Bastion has seen a fair share of suffering.
I was
Changes
wondering what you
people.
meant by darkness, but if it's everywhere that comes from that city, I can't say I'm surprised.
well, the thing is, I mean, obviously we have to be concerned about our own. We've had a few folks try to stay, but typically don't last long. They just have this urge to either try to go back, which, I'll be honest with you, I think is madness, but to each their own. We're all mad in our own way. Kind of smiles at all of you. Or they just want to go out and see the world. She says, there is one woman still with us. She's grown in years. Seems to handle it better than most, I think. barely made it out of them Badlands. Kind of had to. She's reluctant. She says, took us a lot to help her to settle down. She first came here, she was, let's call her a little frisky. Started causing trouble with some of the folk. She's still around, though. You might speak with her. Don't know what good it'll do you.
Ma'am.
Girl?
Do you know if Bastion knows about Haven Rock? Have you talked to anybody on outreach, maybe? Or is this the first time anybody from Bastion's come through? Are they all as surprised as we were to know this place existed?
To be quite frank, seems like every one of you has no idea the outside world. It's kind of strange. Something we used to give a considerable amount of thought to, but after a while we realized it was kind of fruitless, to be honest. Like I said, we're just trying to take care of ours, you know? That's not to say that I enjoy the idea of whatever happens in that dark place of yours, but...
Understandable. Thank you.
Do you know of
Gotcha.
any other towns or cities other than Bastion?
Sorry, say that one more time?
Do you know of any other towns or cities other than Bastion?
She kind of looks at you. A little surprised. She says, normally it doesn't take people that long to ask that question. You've been through a lot, though. The world is full of towns and cities, son. I mean, none really that away. She kind of points northeast. She said there's a city to the west, a week or two. You got the elves down to the south, but it's a little bit of a hike. Haven't been in communication with them recently, though. Her eyes kind of drift off when she says it. The world is peopled, son. It's not all like that darkness. Gods be damned. I don't know what they did to that place, to that land of yours. And then she barks.
The sheep lets out a cry. Sounds kind of
That was
weird.
the sheep.
Yeah, the sheep bleats a little bit. She quiets it down. I mean,
But
It's
The
just
war.
astonishing that none of them ever would have attempted to enter Bastion unless they did.
But we were told the world broke when the war
oh well, honey,
happened.
it did. I mean, you know, heaven and hell go to war. Hell, as far as I'm aware, this mesa wasn't even here 200 years ago. World changed, to be sure. I was young then. Don't remember it that well. I'm an old lady now. She kind of looks at you, Gabriel Wink. She said, not that old, though.
I was born at the end of it.
All things considered, I idly wonder why no one from Bastion knows about this or will admit to knowing about this.
Maybe
Well-
the outside world didn't want Bastion to know about them.
Can't blame them for that either.
Exactly. Maybe it's not a matter of them not knowing as much as the rest of the world conspiring to keep them hidden. No offense. Looking at Rakiwea,
Yeah,
I wouldn't blame anybody for wanting to keep us isolated. Them isolated. Them.
She looks at you, Faith, with this very sad look on her face. She says, my love, you are too young to be so cynical. As far as I'm aware, I don't speak for the world. The world don't speak for me, but it's never my intention to keep that sort of darkness at bay in such a fashion. It wouldn't be my intention, not ever. But, you know, living's hard. Gotta tend to our own, take care of what we can take care of. You can see here, we don't have the kind of resources necessary to march through. I mean, Hell, we've had a couple hunters walk a few miles into those Badlands. A couple of them never came back. It's a miracle you all survived.
Have the other cities ever come through here trying to send an envoy to Bastion, or
Well, there was that dragonkin a while back.
What?
What's a dragon?
Dragonkin.
Yeah, you know.
Oh,
She said the scaled kind. She kind of points at Gabriel. Not quite like him, but you know. From out west.
you
Academic
mean a
sorts.
dragon? Would I know at least what a dragon is?
Well, of course, yeah, you would know what a dragon is, but nobody's seen any. She says,
Right.
well, not like a proper dragon, honey. Nothing quite so large as that. No, dragonkin, you know. About his height. Sometimes with tails, sometimes not. Scales all over, you know.
Bipedal?
Of course.
You
I
mean
think I
like a furry?
What? I think I can speak for all of us when I say no. We have no idea what you're talking about. There's
Oh.
nothing like that where we're from.
Well, they don't have dragonkin,
Well-
no.
Quite frankly, there's very few of your type about either.
I've never heard anything so tragic in my life.
I
No,
can
it's
name
true.
one thing more tragic.
She says it's no wonder y'all fascinated with me. Kind of
wait,
makes
you're
all
not
of
just
you.
really short?
She smiles at you. Don't be coy, boy. She says,
I didn't want to say anything because like I thought it might be rude, but you know, like if it was a medical condition or anything.
it seems like y'all have to take in quite a lot.
I didn't realize how backwards Bastion actually was.
Anybody
So
that
this-
prioritizes
this,
watering the garden over watering the farms is backwards.
Fair.
This dragonkin, or these dragonkin that went on their way, so they made it here and went into the Badlands. Did they ever make it back?
Oh, no. It was just the one. They always
Just the
travel
one,
alone.
okay.
It's... I don't know. I don't want to posit any sort of ideas about them. Seem like good folk. Little, how shall I say, overinvested in academia, if I do say so myself. Yeah, one of them came through. That was God, that had to be decades ago at this point. Yeah, she said she was gonna explore the world. It's kind of what they do, you know. Never came back this way. Maybe she found some other way, or maybe she, you know, found her way to
If-
the other side.
They sound
If you were a
lovely.
betting woman, what would you have put her odds on making it through the Badlands
Well,
alone?
those dragonkin, I've heard about the Badlands, but them dragonkin, they're good at anything else. They're good at surviving. I mean, she seemed pretty sturdy. Then again, I've never been out to the Badlands myself, so I don't know what sort of creatures, you know. I don't want to bring back bad memories for y'all.
Quite the contrary. If we can give you information that'll keep your hunters alive,
Yeah.
ask.
Oh, honey, they just avoid the Badlands.
Not really much to hunt in there anyway.
The offer stands, though. At least it's a few more dangers you'll know about. That makes sense, right?
She kind of shrugs. Listen, we've all done quite a lot of talking. I think maybe y'all need to take a rest. Maybe discuss.
Walk.
I'll need to communicate with some of my sisters about this and see where they stand on it. Commune with the old ones, as it were.
There's one last thing I'd like to ask, personally.
Of course.
How can we repay your hospitality? Because, quite frankly, it has literally been life-saving.
She smiles at you. She said, well, I'm old. My bones are creaking. I did a hard morning's work. Y'all could maybe, and she kind of like holds the sheep out. She says, you could return her to her mother.
I'll take her. I'll take her. I'll take her.
She smiles, hands the sheep off to you. She says, y'all can, take a little while, take a few hours.
I need to piggyback off that question, actually. Going to assume the currency here is different from what's in Bastion. And she kind of tugs on her skirt, which is, tattered and yeah. I don't suppose we could talk trade, or at least I can have some idea so I don't insult anybody.
Good idea. I thought those shells that what's her name? Raquel seemed interested in.
Raquela.
She says, well, I mean, I don't know what sort of currency they have in Bastion. We mostly just trade here. Some of them places out west, they use coins. Don't have much use for them here, but you might find some folk with them. But people understand y'all are foreign, don't really understand our ways, so don't be too concerned about offense. They understand.
Then thank you. And, Giselle, you want to grab some of those shells and help me find something clean?
Sure.
She says,
Would you like me to take the sheep, Giselle? This way you can do that.
Well, I was talking after the sheep. Sorry.
Ah.
That wasn't clear.
I mean, if you really want to hold the sheep too, but
I have held quite a few sheep in my time. I think I'll allow you the pleasure for the first, undoubtedly, in yours. Although I primarily raised goats, in fairness, but the neighbors had sheep.
She says to you, y'all can, find quite a bit of what you need, but if you can't find it here in the North Com, there's the other comms. A little bit of a hike, but, they trade in other things, so keep that in mind. If y'all don't mind, I'll be needing a moment of rest here before I go talk with them old biddies.
You can just nods, starts heading out.
Yeah, she kind of just leans back and leans her back to the wall and just kind of closes her eyes for a moment. Do you guys all head out?
Yep.
Yeah.
yep.
Okay. So you guys kind of head back through the caves that you found through, and it doesn't take you long to feel the heat. It's gotten late. It's probably 11 or 12 o'clock in the afternoon at this point. Sun's high in the sky. It's baking the stone. So you guys are heading out. You can feel the warmth. Little bit of a breeze, not much though. You kind of come out and the guards are standing there. And they just kind of look at you and nod. And what do you do?
I'll take the sheep back with Giselle and then probably go, see what we can pick up. Trade.
I want to keep him.
You can't keep him. You have your... What, is it a bird now?
He's a raven.
You can gather pets if we stay, but don't start like this.
But he's so cute. But you're right.
This one can't be far from its mother currently. In fact, I'm rather surprised it hasn't been making a ruckus looking for food.
All right. So you guys head back down.
That's adorable. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So you guys head all the way back down, and I mean you can separate out if you want. You guys can kind of, this is your moment to kind of roam and do that kind of thing. But yeah, you guys head back down to the fields, down to the barn, and I think you're probably met by the young girl who brought you breakfast. She sees you coming. She runs up, and when the girl runs up, the sheep who's in your arms, Giselle, starts to get fidgety, like it wants to jump out of your arms. And the young girl runs up, and she's got a big smile. She said, "Well, welcome back, baby." She kind of reaches her arms out to take the sheep from you.
I'll give it to her. Sadly, but
Yeah, she
It's
just
cute.
looks, and the sheep, a couple of the other sheep kind of come up. Probably the mother sheep comes up, and she looks at all of you. She said, "Thanks." She kind of turns back, and then she's gonna walk away, but she suddenly turns around and looks back at all of you. She kind of a sad look on her face. She says, "Is Rocky not coming back?"
I don't think so. That she had to
She's-
talk to her sisters.
She just like gives this reluctant nod and understanding, even though she's not happy about it. Okay. She kind of like goes and puts the sheep down next to its mother, and the mother starts like licking her baby sheep and cleaning it off and everything. And the little girl goes over and like starts petting the little sheep and brushing and everything. And you know, you see a couple of the other shepherds walk up, and they're all just, they seem to be kind of like admiring the baby, you know, like bringing life into the world, you know. It's a beautiful thing. So yeah, you guys, what do you do next?
Shopping.
Okay.
Or I should say bartering.
Yeah, bartering. All right. So what are you going to look for?
That would be Mel's first.
Sorry, I'm actually trying to make this kind of expedited to get prices on stuff. Yeah. Faith just kind of wants to grab like some of the candles that she has in her bag and her disguise kit. And then the one extra costume she has that's probably worn at this point, probably needs a good wash, and just try and trade it for some more practical clothing for the area.
I'll also bring the shells that I have, the prismatic beetle shells.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And I guess if the boys will let us take the ugly chickens that she seemed to think had trade worthy.
Yeah.
Is there anything you guys want?
The only thing I would know how to even use at this point is leather workers' tools, and I don't even have leather nearby to use it, so don't bother.
See if you can get a
Bread?
well, they seem to be giving that out for free, so I was gonna say like healer's kit or herbalism kit, something we can use, bandage
Okay.
wounds or treat wounds or something, whatever
I
they
have an
might have.
herbalism kit.
Oh, great.
There's just nowhere to those badlands.
Yeah,
There was
yeah.
nothing to gather.
Quite frankly, now that we know other cities are out there, maybe if we could find a map, that would be beneficial.
Oh, a map would be nice too. Yes.
So
I'm curious as to what the world looks like.
I wonder if they have a library.
Y'all are gonna make me make another goddamn map that's rudimentary for you, aren't you? You sons of bitches, all of you.
You gotta just hand draw
You gotta
one.
hand draw this one.
You
I would
suck.
not do that to you.
As soon as you said it, I'm like, oh, that's clever. Oh, you sons of bitches. All right, so Faith, you can, if you're looking to like trade your disguise kit, or your candles, you know, they'll definitely accept that for, you know, you want to trade for some sturdier. Are you just looking for like common clothes?
Yeah, so essentially, like I said, Faith left with really not practical clothing. She's in a skirt. You know, she had kind of a more fashion top on because it's what they left her with. So now she's looking for like pants, a decent set of boots as opposed to like the flats she's been wearing, that kind of thing.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, you can definitely find that, but you could also find like Sayala has been primarily wearing like skirts and light tops. I mean, it gets pretty warm here. But if you want to find like a sturdy pair of like shepherd's pants and boots, or like hunter's boots, you could definitely find that. Yeah, you would definitely be able to trade for that. You know, it would definitely make you. But you know, this is just for fiction. But like, you know, the clothes you're gonna have are gonna look like they belong in Haven Rock. You know, mostly like earth tones, browns and greens. You know, darker colors for sure.
As much as she's a bit of a fashionista, she's wanting the practicality just because running around in a skirt wasn't pleasant and her feet hurt.
Okay. Yeah.
Does Faith have like regular feet or hoof feet?
Regular feet.
I guess that's a good question to ask before you get
Some
to it.
tieflings
Yeah,
have.
that-
I was just thinking when you said
Wait a minute,
pants. Are they gonna have like tailored goat leg pants for you?
Oh, the shoes would be horrible to try and get.
Well, I would think if she had hoof feet, her feet wouldn't actually hurt walking.
Yeah, she wouldn't need shoes unless she wanted to
Yeah,
cover up
She'd,
the hood.
she'd go to the what, farrier? Is that what they're called?
Mhm.
Blacksmiths that make horseshoes.
Oh,
Yeah.
jeez.
We're gonna take Faith to the barriers.
Yeah, and she wouldn't be able to sneak for shit. Clop, clop,
Yeah.
clop, clop.
True. Um,
But yeah.
okay. Yeah, so you can easily find a pair of common clothes that suits your needs that is more functional than more functional than fashionable, for sure.
Okay.
Um, Giselle, basically, like now I keep forgetting. Obviously, there's a lot of fiction I'm trying to deal with. So if I didn't explain this, I'm sorry. I feel like I did though. The mesa is huge, and
Mhm.
basically there are villages on all sides. So think of it as like being on the north side, east, west, and south. So there's different
Okay.
comms. They call them comms, short for community. So you have the north comm, east comm, west comm, south comm. And so if you guys have basically been limited to the north comm, right? Because that's the direction, obviously, you came in from Bastion. But there are other comms. So if you're looking for someone to trade you in the north comm, no one really seems interested on this side for those the glittering carapaces.
Okay. Are we not allowed to go to the other comps?
You are. It'll just take a little bit of a hike to get there, and you don't know anyone there, like you haven't been introduced, so that might be its own issue. But you can try.
Does anybody know if one of them specializes in like magical items? Like,
Did-
I'm specifically looking for spell components.
Mm-hmm.
Like if I ask somebody, like if I stop somebody and be like, "Do you know where I would buy magical spell components?"
Yeah. Basically, you're told that something like that. And on the Northcom, they don't really dabble much in magic, or at least it doesn't seem that way. But if you're looking for magic and that sort of stuff, you're going to want to go to the Southcom.
Well, I need pearl and I need incense and herbs.
Well, you might find pearls in Eastcom. I mean,
Mm.
herbs specifically, you could probably find in any of the comms. What was the other thing you wanted?
Incense, charcoal. I'm pretty sure I can get anywhere. Literally, just light
Burn a
piece of
fire,
wood on
yeah.
fire.
Yeah, so herbs you're going to find at any of the comms. Pearls you're probably specifically going to find in the East comm. And incense is probably likely the West comm, maybe South.
Well, I think the incense are probably more important because the pearl is for identify. We don't have anything I need for that yet, so we'll go to that one. The one that East comm. No.
Incense is West.
South and west.
Faith, you want to come with me, or do you want me to just go on my own?
No, yeah, I'll come with. If only because I think we should not go anywhere on our own quite yet.
I'll also go with you if you're talking to somebody who knows something of magic. Just because they didn't know anything in Bastion doesn't mean they don't know anything here.
Okay. Is that the same one that would have the magic stuff in it?
Well, like I said, the one you're looking for, if you're looking for, specifically, like I said, incense is more likely to be West or South. Pearls is East.
Mm-hmm.
Herbs is basically anywhere.
Okay.
She probably won't want to, but you might want to ask Raquela to guide
Come
you.
with us?
Yeah, so
That's a
she
good
can
idea.
smooth over any, strangers coming into town vibes.
That's a good idea. I don't think she will, but I mean, it
Yeah, but
doesn't hurt to try.
her wife will probably force her to accompany him.
They have their own work to do, but it can't hurt to ask.
That's devious, but
Nothing else, we can get directions.
All right, so are you guys going to go try to find Raquela and Ciala?
yeah.
Okay. Yeah, you'll find them back at their house, which you can find because you've been there before. As you get there, You know, that a lot of these houses, like, they have, I don't want to call them windows. They're not, obviously it's not glass. They have like wooden shutters. Most of the time, just because of the heat, those things stay open, right? Um, and then a car drives by. And but as you approach, and as you've seen Ciala and Raquela's house, you know, it's been open. Um, this time though, it's closed. The windows are closed. The door appears to be mostly closed.
And it's like it's hot out, right?
It's warm, yeah.
Huh. That's weird. Knock, maybe?
The
Or
only two
perhaps-
reasons I can think of that they would close that in this heat is either the first, neither of them are there, or the second, they do not want to be disturbed.
Yes, privacy, dear.
I mean, you
All
could
things
try to
considered.
knock. That's up to you.
If we disturb them, it could make her mad. She doesn't seem like the kind of person you want mad at you.
Let's leave them and do some wandering. We've gotten Rocky Way is okay, at least.
Sure.
Indeed. And
It probably wouldn't help us anyways.
it's easy enough to figure out which way west is.
Okay. All right. So yeah. It doesn't take much for you guys to figure out the path in which you would take to get to one of the other comms. So yeah, you're heading west.
Yep.
And just to clarify, it's Giselle, Yinkin, and Faith. Gabriel and Marcus, are you guys staying behind? Oh shit. I shouldn't say staying behind, but if you're doing something different.
Okay. I'm not going shopping with them, but yeah, I'm not going to stay put either. First and foremost, I think the biggest thing I want to look for, because I don't think there have been any men seen yet in this community.
No, there are men. There are.
Okay.
It's just it seems matriarchal for sure. It seems to be
Okay.
run by women. But the guards you saw up by Rocky Way's place were men. There are men who move around. There are men who create like potters and things. I mean, there's definitely
Well, I was going to kind of investigate that, but I guess if there are men around, then
Oh yeah, you've seen plenty of men. Yeah, this is not Wonder Woman.
well, I just thought that maybe this was going to be the thing for this town, is that they imprison men and or kill them or something like that.
Wow, that's really
Because that's the
dark.
corruption.
Gerudo Valley.
Why can't I move? I can't remember how to move what the setting is to be able to move your nameplates.
What do you mean? Like
You're
stack them?
yeah, like I did before. I don't see that option unless I can't remember how.
I don't see it either, and I used to have it.
I feel
Did they
like-
change it? Because they've updated.
Yeah,
Yeah, they
by the
updated
way,
a lot of things.
I don't know if you guys saw. I was doing some prep work before the game. They seriously changed the monster manual and like the other. So it actually has like a almost like a screenshot of the actual sheet from the book in the monster sheets now.
Oh, really?
They look
Yeah,
really
I
fucking
noticed
cool.
that.
It's
Nice. They updated a lot of things too.
They really
Yeah, I
did.
was gonna say the SRD has been heavily updated because I was
Yeah.
mucking with it earlier.
Okay, so I guess I can't move your sheets, so I'll just have to remember Marcus and Gabriel, you guys are kind of doing your own thing. Giselle, Faith, and Yinkin, you guys head west. You know, it's very similar in construction. You know, the Westcom is again built into the mesa. You know, there's some design differences, some structural differences, but it appears like it's all pretty unified in design and theme. You do see, as you come around, something that you didn't see in the Northcom, which is if you're anywhere near the ground level, even if you're up above it, you can clearly see they have wagons over here. It looks like they actually have something that maybe looks to you like a caravan. You know, covered wagons, a few smaller horses, things of that nature. You know, there's still grassland and stuff, but clearly something having to do with caravans and wagons is happening over here. But again, same thing. The village is built into the mesa, and there's stairs and things. You do see more people over here that they look to you like guards. So, you saw the hunters in the Northcom. These look like guards, like they're armored, they are armed. They don't seem to be patrolling, but there's more of them here than there were on the Northcom. But nobody, everyone sort of sees you, and you're getting... The atmosphere here is such that, like, people are a little weary of you more than they were in the Northcom. Rumors probably have spread that other people have arrived. The comms are close enough that that's a thing that happens. But people aren't, necessarily as eager to, like, run up to you as some of the children in the Northcom or what have you. But people don't seem to be getting in your way at the very least. So, yeah, you guys start walking around, and what exactly are you looking for here?
Is there like a general shop, like a general store type of
There
deal?
appears to be... It looks like it would be on the lower levels. There's probably a couple buildings that kind of function in the capacity of, like... It's not so much a general store. It's more like a warehouse. Like they function in the capacity of warehouses where they stock things until they need to get moved elsewhere. But, you can read them fictionally as a kind of general store. That's not really their purpose, but...
It's like a BJ's.
Ye
Costco.
old Costco.
Costco.
It's kind of like where the ingest happens, like where, if there's trade, this is where it goes first.
Nice.
So yeah, you just like walk in, like they don't really have a door to this place. It's more like just a drape over the door.
Mhm.
You just head inside.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, you kind of head inside, and you see what looks to be a couple. They're kind of like standing, looking over like what is probably like an inventory sheet or something to that effect. And probably middle-aged, both of them, tan skin, look traveled. The woman looks up at you, raises an eyebrow. Hi.
Hello.
Hi.
I'm Giselle. We're just visiting town, and I was wondering if you were up for some trade. All they really have are these, and she pulls out some of her beetle shells.
Mm.
I'm
They
looking.
both look a little weary of you yet. She says, I heard there were some new folk in town.
That would be us.
Yep.
Mm. Got some glitterbug shells, I see.
Yep. We fought them in the Badlands.
Kind of like nods a little. Yeah, well, that's good for you. And you're looking to trade them, I take it.
I am looking for some pearl. I need a pearl worth. I mean, I don't know how she would put this, but it's worth 100 gold. And I also need incense and herbs.
Incense I can do. Herbs, probably. Pearls are going to be found out east.
Okay.
We don't really trade for those. Ain't no reason when we got the supply over there.
True, but I think the incense are more important.
Well, I got some incense.
Okay.
Looking for anything in particular? Just plain incense?
I am looking for some that would be quality for spell components.
Don't really know what that means.
Just some nice quality ones.
All right. Everything we trade's just nice quality, so don't know that that's a concern. Don't really know magic, but
I need about. I'd like to buy about 50 gold worth of incense and herbs if I could. I don't know how many beetle shells we have.
that's going to be half of your beetle shells.
Half of our beetle shell.
Damn, we have 100 gold of beetle shells.
That is.
That's
Would you happen to sell health potions as well? Like something that heals? Or a healer's kit?
I can sell you some bandages. That's what you're after.
Well,
We've
I think
got
that's
some of
basically
those.
what's in a healer's kit, right?
Yeah, like fictionally, she's just saying that, but mechanically, she would sell you a healer's kit.
Okay, I'll take 2 healer's kits and as many beetle shells as I can get for about half of these.
Let's see how much a healer's kit costs. 5. So 10 gold. And you want to spend 50 gold worth of the beetle shells?
Yeah.
Okay. So you're going to have about, in gold terms, about 40 gold left
All right.
in beetle shells.
Yep. And I'll give the rest of the beetle shells to Malanigan.
Wait, what?
Yeah,
That's all I needed.
Yeah, she kind of nudges her husband. He goes off and gets a little satchel and gets some incense for you and get some bandages and scissors and, some salves or something like that for healer's kits. And you'll get 50 gold worth of incense and then 2 healer's kits for your glitter bugs.
Okay.
Which is
And
not what they're
there's
called,
40
by the
remaining.
way, but I'm just calling them that because I think it's funny. Yeah, so you guys have done some trading.
So did I do the practical clothes in the north?
Yeah, they
Okay.
they weave, they make some clothes up there for sure.
And that was the trade for the candles? Or was that the
Um,
candles and the kit? Because the kit's worth 25 gold. I don't think Faith would have made that trade.
oh, okay. I mean, they would have traded you. Thing is, they've got candles. We could say that like we could split it up, just so like it would have cost you like I don't know what common clothes cost. Common clothes. So it's like 5 silver. So yeah, you basically have like 25 gold, 24 gold left or something like that.
For this, okay, that works for me.
Yeah.
Do you need a disguise kit?
No, I have one, but I don't have any use of it
Oh.
anymore.
I thought you sold it.
We're splitting it up. That's what Sean and I just talked about.
Yeah.
Because I have one too that I could give you if you want to sell that one outright.
We can split it up since they do trade. We were also wondering if perhaps there was a map of at least the surrounding area that we could acquire. We might not be staying in the Mesa, and coming from where we come from, we're not exactly aware of what's around.
We don't really have use for maps. Could draw you up something. I'm no map maker though.
If it's not anything you can provide, I understand. We're just kind of... Obviously, we're not from here, so we're not sure who to go to for these kinds of things.
No, I understand.
Even something crude? With
Yeah,
just
I mean,
general directions?
I could make something up for you. I mean, that's not much of a problem for me. Would take me a little while. Have to think about it. You looking for a map of the Mesa?
And maybe things to the south and west, since we came from the northeast and don't plan on going back anytime soon. And I kind of look at Yinkin, just kind of apologetically.
She nods. I mean, I can give you. It'll be crude. I can give it to you. Not real sure what to charge for it though.
I mean, I have some dyes in this kit, maybe to help either create it or to dye clothing. Though I think maybe since I bought the clothes in the north, that would be more useful there.
She shrugs. I don't even think it's worth dye, to be honest. I feel bad. I mean,
How
I'll
about
hold up a
something
glitter
to
bug
eat?
shell.
she says you can give me like 2 of those.
I'll hand over 2 of the shells.
Yeah, and she'll make you a map. It'll take her a little while. She's got to draw something up. But yeah, she'll make you a crude map.
Cool. And we have Giselle has the healer kits. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I'm adding the map to my inventory. Just checking.
I'll give those to Marcus or Yinkin.
I wonder if I could actually just draw on this map.
I think it was Marcus that wanted them, right?
I suggested we have. I'm not proficient in it, but
I have medicine though, so I can use it to stabilize people. I believe.
I have medicine too, so at least
You don't need a medicine check to stabilize with a healer's kit.
Yeah.
They just automatically stabilize.
All right, I'm gonna open Photoshop. Hopefully, my computer doesn't start bogging down. Yeah. So you guys have acquired a map and some healers kits and a bunch of incense. Is there anything else that you're looking for? Anything else? Going once. Going twice. Nothing else in the Westcom you need. Why is someone pinging Bastion? Can you guys hear me?
There is something I want to ask the shopkeeper before we leave.
Okay. Yeah. What are you doing?
The caravan out there. Do you know where they're going?
Well, sure. They travel west to do trade.
Is he cutting out or is it?
Yeah.
Sorry. I think it's Photoshop. I don't know. You guys are cutting out for me too. Can you hear me?
Yeah, now I can.
yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. So no. She says yeah. They're. She knows where the caravan's going. She said yeah. They're going to trade out west.
Do you think they'd need more guards?
I wouldn't trust us to be a guard for a caravan. Why on earth should they?
Well, we gotta have jobs doing something.
I wouldn't try and take a job yet until we hear back from
I mean, yeah.
Rocky Way to know what the community expects of us.
I mean, I'm not gonna go out and tell them I want to hire on right away, but I mean, it'd be nice to know if they were hiring, so we have something, to look at later on.
She says
Rather play music in a tavern or something.
they don't really need help. We staff our own. Y'all wanted to travel with us. I mean, that's something we could talk about. And she's kind of shaking her head in some mild confusion. This is obviously something she's never had to really deal with, is strangers asking necessarily for travel out west. She says, if it's something you're interested in, we could discuss it further, but we'd have to talk to the other families about it, of course. Why don't we make a map for you, and we'll maybe come back to discussing this. And hell, I don't even know your names.
I'm Giselle, by the way.
Faith. Sorry.
My name is Yinkin. Thank you for making the map. So we're not in your hair while you do so. Could you point me to anybody who knows anything about magic?
She says, yeah, I suppose so. Suspect
Earthly magic.
Well, I suspect the den mothers would know best about that sort of thing. But she's like clearly thinking about it. She said there is that she kind of like looks at her husband and like the two of them are trying to think about it and come up with like what, like she wants his help trying to remember. She said that young man that down South Comway, he was, Jesus, that was loud. Hopefully you guys didn't hear that. She said he was doing some learning from them elves. He might be able to help you. I don't really know much about magic.
Thank you kindly.
Sure. We'll get this map done and get it back to you. We'll be here when you need to find us. We're not leaving for a few days yet, so you got time. Yeah.
I'm
you
sorry,
guys...
we didn't get your name.
Oh, yeah. I guess that's kind of rude of me. My name's Yansa. This is my husband, Keme. I will put those in chat.
Thank you.
He says, y'all have a good day. Kind of like being awkward, just trying to see if you're like ready to leave yet.
It was wonderful meeting you.
Likewise.
Giselle curtsies.
Yeah, and she has no idea what to do with that. Yeah, and you guys probably head out. Meanwhile, Marcus and Gabriel, what are you guys up to, if anything?
And I just said it in chat. I just hang out by the barn. You said the barn was like under construction, didn't you? Or it was like a new barn they were building?
It was newer. Yeah, it looks like recently constructed.
I like to try and find like a piece of wood or something around and carve a little figurine of a werewolf.
Okay.
Just sitting in the shade by the barn,
Sure.
waiting for everybody else to get back.
Okay. Interesting. Yeah, Gabriel, what do you do? Anything?
I speak with the NPCs that have been traveling with us, as it seems kind of, it's not necessarily obvious, but almost a necessity that we're going to be leaving this town to look for other stuff. I want to gauge like what their thoughts are on whether they're going to stay, if any of them want to stay with us, or anything like that.
So yeah, Jija has no interest in staying with you, if that isn't obvious.
I didn't. Yeah, I almost don't even talk to him.
Right. Dala is kind of torn. It's safe here. These people seem warm and welcoming. But also there's a world out there. She's on the fence. She doesn't know what she's doing.
And one of the things I might mention in regards to something like that is that we're not going to disappear from the world completely. We've all been put in this situation together. We're not going to forget them. So if it's something that we wanted to do, once we're able to travel the land, maybe find safe areas to go to that we could and would be willing to come back and get them, to take them to different locations as well.
Yeah.
But if they don't feel safe traveling with us, knowing the dangers that are out here, they're welcome to stay, obviously, if they're allowed to stay.
Yeah.
But we're not just going to forget them completely.
Right. Jalen wants to go with you, the boy.
Mm-hmm.
He seems pretty attached to you. He's been through a lot, but you've given him reason to trust you. So he's not necessarily.
No, I stole his food.
Yeah, but he's not necessarily ready to leave. Chandra wants to stay with you, Gabriel, but I think there's kind of a desire with her that she kind of wants you to stay here with her. Like, she wants to settle down here. I mean, life is good, and she can find something to do, and you could,
Oh no, she wants you to settle down with her.
Yeah.
She's
Not even one date.
like she's young and scared. I mean, Jalen is young enough to not. He's ignorant. He doesn't understand the dangers of the world. Chandra does. She recognizes, there's a world out there, but there's safety here. They're warm and you can have a roof over your head, and there's something desirable for her about that. But she's also kind of, she kind of wants, like, let me put it this way. You can basically kind of tell her, like, stay here, and she will. She won't be happy about it, but also, like, she's safe here and she knows it. So,
more or less, in regards to her wanting me to stay, I kind of repeat what I told Sacagawea or Rockyawea about my people in Bastion and wanting to save them, and I need to find a safe haven for them. So my adventure hasn't ended. I need to find more to this land, so I can't stay here in Haven Rock. But as I've explained, we're not going to forget you. We will happily come back.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, like I said, she'll listen, she'll hear what you're saying, but she also, she definitely has a strong desire to live and to, but she'll, she trusts you enough, but, going forward, I don't know how that's going to play out, but we'll see.
I mean, you're safe. Let's leave it at that for now. You're safe. If they allow us to stay, if they allow you to stay, make the best of it. Don't dwell on what could have been or what may have been, but enjoy life. You're free.
She just looks a little dejected, but kind of accepts what you're saying. She says, "You're free too, We could be free together."
I'm looking out for more than just myself. This is more to do more than just my emotions, more than just my personal needs. This is the needs of quite a few people back in Bastion.
She is like she shakes her head. She says, "Those people exiled us. It was practically a death sentence, and you want to save them."
The people that I'm referring to did not send me out. I'm referring to my people, the Azamar.
So I can't be
And
your people.
I will return to Bastion, and I will free them.
She just looks dejected. Well, we have a couple days. Maybe I can get you to change your mind.
Doubt it.
She kind of shrugs. I think she just kind of like takes that opportunity to just kind of step away. She's not hearing what she wants to hear.
Mm-hmm.
So you spend some time having a conversation with everybody, and Marcus.
What about the old man?
Yeah, the old man. Let's talk about him. So
I hope he wants to come with us.
The entire time that you guys are doing your stuff, he didn't come with you to see Rockyawea. If anything, he's kind of like, limping around the North Com, like watching people. I think we see like we cut to the old man like watching, just like watching the children of the North Com, and some small child like is like running past him. They're like playing a little game, and he like sticks his cane out and trips the child, and the child like slams into the ground and slides and looks up at him like all surprised, and he's just got this like really excited grin on his face. And he spends his time just like walking around, and he kind of like makes his way back to the barn at some point, and he's like watching all the shepherds and stuff with the goats and the sheep, and sorry. And like he's watching the sheep and the goats play, and like one of the goats like knocks over one of the sheep, and he's like laughing at it and having a joyous time, and he doesn't really care what any of you are doing. He just seems to be spending his time in a pretty specific way, I guess is the best way to put it.
Being an asshole.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, it seems like I mean, it's pretty obvious to you at this point. I think it's fair to say that like he seems to enjoy watching other people not necessarily suffer, but like
He likes to spread misery.
yeah. It's a good way to put it. Yeah. And that's kind of how he spends his time. I think like he's like back at the barn, Gabriel, when you're having your conversation with Chandra, and like he's enjoying the shit out of how heartbroken she is. Like she's miserable, and he's just like he might as well be like twiddling his fingers, like yes. And that's like how he spends his time.
Okay.
And then I assume that Faith, Yinkin, and Giselle find your way back to the Northcom after your shopping trip.
Assuming there's no trouble, yeah.
Yeah, no trouble. Again, the Westcom folks, they, they're a little more weary of you. They definitely don't just like walk up and chat with you and anything else.
Do I see any other tieflings during this jaunt?
You do not.
Yeah.
You do not. So you guys head back to the Northcom. Presumably you find your way back to the barn, and that's kind of where we all meet back, I assume.
Yeah, how long
Sounds like
were
a
they
plan.
gone?
It
Like
would
just a couple hours?
I would think a few hours, yeah.
Okay.
I got some healers stuff. If who wants them?
I should probably hold on to one.
That's great. I'll take one.
Then I'll give Marcus and Faith each a healer kit.
Thank you.
I also got
this, and I'll hand the map to Gabriel. Per your request. It's crude, but they don't have much use of them.
Fantastic. Oh, I think this is going to be very beneficial to us.
We
There is
also
also
Oh, ladies first.
no. You can go ahead.
Ladies first.
She's
Fine.
probably just going to say there's another talking animal.
No, I was just gonna say there's a caravan that's leaving soon. They might let us go along with them. Might be safer to travel with it.
It's heading west. That's about all we got.
Traveling numbers, that could be beneficial as well.
Exactly.
Didn't Rocky say something about elves to the south?
A city to the west and elves to the south.
I think it'd be rather fascinating to see a city of elves, personally, but
I would love to see a city of elves.
Me too.
My people. I wonder if they're high elves or wood elves or
what?
Crick elves?
There are different types of elves.
No elves.
yes. I'm a high elf. Yinkin is a wood elf.
I just didn't realize that was a thing. Sorry.
Racist.
I think
She's
she has-
admitting as much? Like, unintentional racism?
Is it still racism if it's actual ignorance and not willful ignorance?
Again, humans come in all, like, shades and whatnot, and she
So
thought
do
elves were the same
tieflings.
way, and those are, like, specifications. Exactly.
And
So it's just like, wait,
tieflings
there's
come
actually
with
a.
hooves and not with hooves.
Well, it's more like she's insinuating the fact she doesn't understand that there's a difference in how that may affect things culturally. Especially with a name like High Elf, that's arrogant as fuck.
I'm a high elf. I think that's
And that's-
arrogant.
That seems fitting for your personality.
Well,
So we were able to do some trade with those bug shells. Some very decent trade. So it's something maybe we should keep an eye out for in the future.
You suggesting we go back to the Badlands?
No, I'm just saying
Okay.
I discounted the shells, and I'm saying Giselle might have been right in her shiny
I mean,
curiosities.
yes, they were shiny and they were magic. Like that. I don't know.
Wait, did you mention they were magic when you picked them up?
I mean, they shone that light and they did something weird, right? It was cool, right?
I mean, they bit Yink and he started having hallucinations of his wife dancing in
Uh-huh.
flame on his hand. So
Yeah, which immediately made Faith think,
That
nope,
was a
they're
thing.
dangerous. So, anyway. So it's been a few hours, and we haven't heard back from Rakuea.
not yet. No, you guys. Yeah, you've just taken your time doing some shopping. It's probably like mid-afternoon at this point. I would say like 3-4 o'clock. Maybe 4 or 5 o'clock.
Is the girl still just like out with the animals around the barn?
The shepherds, yeah, they're still working. There's still daylight. There's things to do. Yeah, there's definitely people around.
I'd like to approach the girl.
Yeah, she's, again, most of these people have, and especially the girl, she spent quite a bit of time with that baby sheep, and she's still there. She's watching. I think she's probably sitting on like a fence, like a crudely made fence, just watching as the mom and the baby are kind of playing, and the other sheep are kind of just hanging out, grazing, doing whatever. But the girl is just kind of sitting there, watching the baby sheep.
Hello.
Oh, hi.
I've got a question for you. Is there a place where people gather here, maybe after a long, hard day's work? A place where maybe music is played? Things of that nature?
Oh, sure. Yeah, of course.
Where?
Well, up top, of course.
Right. Does the place have a name?
I mean, I'm kind of too young to go there, especially at night. I mean, they have festivals and stuff, but it's just, the roof.
Would you like to go?
I can't. My folks,
How old are you?
I'm 13.
Wow. I'm 120.
She just looks at you like seriously a little like confused. Well,
I'm an elf. Right.
The roof.
well, yeah, the top of the mesa. Up
yeah.
under the stars. The times I've been there for the festivals,
Wonderful.
it's beautiful.
That sounds fabulous. Thank you very much for that information. And I'm gonna look to Giselle since she apparently came with me. If
I'm
anything,
like a puppy at this point.
If anything comes up, I will be at the roof. And Faith's gonna try and find her way there.
I am definitely coming with you now.
Okay. Yinkin is actually going to offer to help anybody who's on the farm that he can, just because these people have shown him hospitality. He needs to do something to earn his keep.
Sure, yeah. I mean, they'll put you to work for sure. There's only a few hours left in the day, but some of them are fixing fences. Some of them are tending to the animals. Some of them are tending to the ground, that kind of thing. But there's work for you to do if you're willing to do it.
And Yinkin would just roll up his sleeves and get to work. He knows the business. He just needs to know where the hands need to go.
Okay.
Well,
What?
My wife's a pervert.
Oh, I thought she forgot to mute herself again.
Nope, she meant that.
Okay. All right. So Giselle and Faith are going to head up to the top of the mesa. Gabriel, Marcus.
I actually want to go over to Gabriel if saw us chilling by the barn when he had that conversation with Sandra or Chandra.
Chandra.
And say, so, are you not human? I heard you say you were an Asim. Your people.
I kind of look down at my literally golden skin and smile and say, "No, I'm an Azamar.
Which is
We have been touched by the Celestials before our birth.
uh, celestial. Really? And then I actually say in celestial, "Can you understand me?"
Indeed, I can. Where did you learn our language?"
I picked it up recently. I don't really understand how I can speak it.
Perhaps you've been touched as well.
Something happened to me, but maybe later I can talk to you more about it. This is an interesting development.
Well, that's one of the reasons I need to return to Bastion, is to free my people. There aren't many of them. But I need to get them out.
Understandable. No one's free unless we're all free.
As they say, ollie ollie oxen free.
What?
That's celestial for. Why don't we take a break?
Wow.
Yeah. Why don't we take our 10-minute break here, and then when we back about 25 after.
And maybe Sean
So, is everyone good to go? Everyone peed and watered and what have you?
Oh.
Yep.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right, cool beans. So, we cut back in to early evening here in Haven Rock. Giselle and Faith are ascending the North Comm in order to reach the top of the mesa to presumably find a place that you were told about. So you pass through the comm as you have before, and it doesn't take you long. The comm is pretty simply laid out to figure out that there's a certain set of stairs and that should lead to a ladder that will take you up to the top of the comm, to the top of the mesa. And so you do. You find this place, and the sun is still pretty high in the sky. It'll be probably a good hour or two before it fully sets. And there you see this massive, just flat mesa on top, and the sky above, the mountains around. You can maybe just barely make out the barest edge of the Badlands to the northeast. And you see what is effectively like a large tent that has been placed up here. And you don't really see a lot of people around. But you head for this kind of canopy, and you kind of duck inside. There's like curtains and drapes around, and you kind of duck inside, and you see this large space. The way that the tent is constructed, it's not. It's kind of translucent, so that the sun kind of illuminates everything inside, but it's still cooler in here than it would be outside. You see that there's a number of tables around, all with like between 6 to 8 chairs around them. So there's no tables for like 2 or 4 people. It's very much a communal affair. There is what appears to be a small stage at the far end of the room. And kind of off to the side, there's a separate, I guess, kind of a countertop, but not really a kitchen or anything like that. And there's just like 2 people in here, one of whom is what appears to be a very old, a very old human woman, and then another younger woman, probably like in her 30s, that seem to be kind of milling about as you enter.
As soon as Faith gets in and has that cursory look around, she's gonna, recognizing that what it is when things haven't gotten started yet, like the day hasn't officially ended, she's gonna kind of head towards the stage and kind of look around. If she sees stairs, she'll hop up and kind of like get a feel for it, I guess. Again, the lyre strapped to her back. She's got the flute on her hip, kind of like a holster.
Mm-hmm.
Beth, before you
Whoa.
Who?
take off, I mean, Faith, sorry. Faith. I know you guys don't believe me about the bird thing. Would you be willing to humor me for a moment?
Right this moment?
Yes. It's very aggravating.
I'm not gonna speak on behalf of the others, but I'm fairly certain we're all just giving you shit. We all have some semblance of magic, it would seem, except for maybe Marcus.
I think Marcus actually has magic. It's different.
But we don't understand it. You do. And as such, it's just a bit of fun.
I don't
If you say you can
actually
talk to your
understand it
creature,
as much. I mean, I'm self-taught. It's been very hard.
I think we're all self-taught.
Very
And
true.
to some extent, the only thing that I know how to do is that little healing spell, and that's the only thing that I was ever actually taught by my mother. But
Well, it's very handy.
the point is, I don't think, again, I don't mean anything personally by it. It's just a bit of fun. You said the old man was comic relief? Oh wait, you didn't actually say that in character. Never mind.
No, he is very annoying, though.
It's just something, it's banter, it's comforting.
It's very frustrating.
We're all frustrated, Giselle. Like,
Making each other more frustrated doesn't seem it is helping, though, does it?
we're still together, aren't we? And we didn't kill each other. We defended
Very
one another.
true. Very, very true.
But your point is made. I'll stop,
Thank you.
if nothing else.
All right, I want to hear you play. She kind of like, shh.
So there's these two women in here, and they're at first kind of ignoring you and seeing you kind of like talk back and forth. And finally, the younger woman looks like she's going to get up the nerve to come talk to you. And the older woman just kind of like strides for you. Hair is completely white. She's got to be in her 70s, but strong, you know, tan skin. And she just kind of strides toward you. Well, hi there.
Hello.
Can I
Oh.
help you?
Sorry. Forgot there was an audience for a moment. I was just... I play. And she's gonna kind of motion to her instruments. And I'm new in town. And I was just kind of... looking, really. Sorry. I should have approached you first.
Well, that's all right, baby. You could can play. That's great. It's nice. It's a little early yet to be here. You know, folk don't start arriving till about sunset, give or take. You want to hang out, help us set up? You're more than welcome, but doesn't really take that much work. So,
I mean, sure, absolutely. I just I wanted to see what's played here, you know, what kind of music you guys like. It's all new and fascinating. So if you don't mind, yeah, I mean, I'll help. Absolutely.
She's very good.
well, I can tell you that folk like to dance. That's a thing. Mostly, you know, we have a lot of drummers, a lot of rhythm, you know. It's good to get something to stomp your feet to.
Well, I'm not sure I have anything like that in my skill set, at least offhand, but I am willing to, again, learn, listen, try. Yeah, if you don't mind, of course. Again.
Yeah, no, it's everybody's welcome here, honey.
Faith, by the way. Sorry. And she seems excited and nervous for like the first time that like you've seen Giselle, and like stage nerves.
She's being really cute right now, and it's like, yes.
The woman says, "Well, Faith, it's a pleasure to meet you. I'm called Tonga. You want to, like I said, help out? That's more than welcome. I'm just gonna go back over here with my daughter. We're just gonna keep setting up. You want to throw some chairs down or anything like that? You're more than welcome." she just looks kind of she's not really weary of you, but there's like an awkwardness there. She's not sure who you are necessarily, and she doesn't seem to. But yeah, she goes over with her daughter, and they just start setting up, moving some chairs around. But again, there's not much to do. This place seems pretty clean. So yeah, you're more than welcome to just like hang out here until the festivities start, if that's what you want to do.
Yeah, that's exactly what Faith will do. She'll get a feel for the place. She'll kind of, tune the lyre once the chairs are down. And
okay. So meanwhile, what is everyone else doing while they're up there?
Again, until Yinkin's done literally working around on the farms, he'd be doing that until the day was done, functionally.
Mm-hmm.
Quite frankly, I was expecting someone to come get us, so I never would have thought to go to like a tavern or something like that. I'm just kind of waiting.
Yeah. Okay. And Marcus?
I think the same. I'm still just hanging out, waiting. I figured, Rocky Way would come send someone for us or come back to us when she had finished talking to the other den mothers. So,
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I'm gonna keep working on my little werewolf figure.
Okay. All right, sure. So, a little bit of time passes, another hour. Yinkin, the shepherds and farmers and things, they're starting to settle down for the day. The animals are getting kind of tired, and it's, dusk is probably going to be another hour or so, and they're ready to kind of go get cleaned up and go get dinner or what have you. They're very grateful for your work. You put in a good day's work, and they're, more than happy with what you have, contributed is the word I was looking for.
Pleasure's all mine.
And some more time passes, and up on the top of the mesa, I think some more folks start to arrive slowly at first. More people are coming in, and you, Faith, and Giselle, you notice that they're bringing like food and drink with them. They'll bring like a bowl of food or a jug of wine or something to that effect. People are bringing stuff with them, and again, people are just kind of sprinkling in at first. Just a few people here and there, and they're getting settled in. Down below, down at the barn where the boys are. I think Yinkin, as you're probably heading in for you're heading to the barn after the work is done to meet up with Gabriel and Marcus. I think that, oops. I think that, yeah, I think Rocky Wea shows up. Like, I think she reappears. And she's got like one of the guards is actually with her now. Is like walking behind her, and she seems like she's moving a little slower. She's an older lady, a little sore from her day. She kind of heads back down, and she's a good few feet in front of the guard, but she kind of comes to address you. She's got a big warm smile on her face. You boys hungry?
Wouldn't say no to some food.
Famished, actually.
And she looks you up and down, Yinkin. Sees you're, covered in sweat. Says, "Look like you've been putting in some work, boy."
You've been so hospitable. How could I not? There's work to be done.
There's always work to be done. Sometimes there's rest to be done too, though.
That's what the end of the day's for.
Yeah, you ain't seen nothing yet. She said, why don't you boys get cleaned up? Come with me. Gonna go find your girlfriends. Seems that they found our worst kept secret.
I believe they're somewhere on the top of the mesa. Something.
Yeah, well, like I said, worst kept secret. She said, "You wanna go do some dancing?" She kind of looks at you, Gabriel, gives you a wink.
Sure, absolutely. Beats sitting around in this barn. I feel like we've been forgotten today.
She smiles at you. She said, "Oh, I've been thinking about you all day." Again, gives you this like playful smile.
Shit, I really love this woman.
And she kind of waits around and waits for you guys to like get cleaned up and, you know, grab anything, put in any clothes you want to get, or you know whatever, and she'll start hiking up, near the top, and she takes a slight detour going through the North Comm, where she is going to pass by Raquela and Ciala's house. And you see now that the windows are open, the door's open, and you hear this like lovely humming coming from inside the house. And Rocky stops in front of their place, and she literally just pops her head into the door. She says, "All right, girls, you had a nice day off. Why don't you come play with us now?" And you hear this like kind of giggling sound, and Ciala appears, and she's dressed very casually. You know, she's wearing a short like knee length skirt, a shirt with no sleeves, and it actually shows her midriff. Her hair is a bit askew, and Raquela kind of enters, and you see Raquela through the window. And up until this point, every time you've seen Raquela, she's basically been in her leathers. You know, she's accustomed to wearing them. This is the first time she too is dressed down. She's wearing a pair of like shorts that are kind of rolled up to her knees, and she too has like a lightweight shirt on, just made of like a simple cloth, and she has like a bandana wrapped around her hair. Like she looks very casual, and her hair is kind of pulled back in kind of a ponytail thing. And Ciala like runs forward. She's like, "Rocky, we going dancing?" And Rocky's like, "Well, if the two of you can separate yourselves out from whatever you've been doing all day." And Raquela's entire face turns red. And Ciala just disappears. Like she just runs back into the house, and she like starts pulling her hair up as she's going. And Raquela just looks at the three of you, makes absolutely no eye contact. She says to Rocky, "We'll be up shortly." And Rocky had this big smile crosses her face. She says, "I'll see you soon, honey." And then she kind of turns back and looks at all of you. She says, "Well, boys, let's go." And like heads back up and starts to head toward the top of the mesa. And as you guys are going, a lot of the comm is headed up here. Like a lot of folks are coming. People are bringing food with them. They're bringing wine. Some of them are bringing water. Seems like an affair. And as you guys are heading up, the sun is just like cresting over the mountains. The sky is this beautiful orange. There's just shades of purple at the top as night starts to settle in. And you guys head into the tent. Giselle and Faith, you guys have been helping to set up. More people are arriving, and you, Faith, actually noticed that a number of folks arrive with instruments. A lot of drums, like a lot of stringed drums. A couple of them have what appear to be like flutes. Not a lot of stringed instruments. Maybe just one or two. And absolutely nothing that looks like yours.
Yeah. She takes a keen interest in this, but she resists approaching them for the moment. She wants to see it played first.
Yeah. And Rocky kind of like walks in, and she holds the tent open for the boys. And she sees you, Faith, and Giselle, and she gives you a smile. She leads you all inside. And, a few minutes passes. Do you guys do you talk amongst yourselves while people are settling in, or what do you do?
Yeah, it's really good to see the boys.
You were with me for most of the day.
Well, the other ones, you're the cool one.
Idly checks his temperature.
Yeah. Hi, welcome. So they're gonna play local music. And like Faith is like all you know, yeah, all
And
Twitter.
are you going to join them?
I want to see what their sound is first. I mean, I'm seeing drums. I see a few flutes. They look a little weird. Speaking, would my flute be? I assume would, right?
Presumably, yes.
Speaking of which, I'm having issues with a note, and you're a woodworker, correct?
Yeah.
And she's gonna pull out her flute and show you just like one of the holes, like some of the wood has, worn, so it's I can't get it to tune. It's off. If you would be so kind, maybe.
Sure. Can you whistle the note it's supposed to make? So I make sure I get it right.
And Faith will do so. I will not like bleed your ears with my own whistling, but it's kind of a sharper note. Say.
I left my tools back down at the barn though, so have to be in the morning.
Okay.
Unless.
Would my disguise kit have like a nail file, and would that work?
I don't
I'm
know.
gonna risk it.
Um,
I'll make do.
yeah, so more people start arriving. You're seeing people young and old, mostly adults though. Some older teenagers, but not a lot of small children. The woman called who you were speaking to, Giselle and Faith. The woman who introduced herself as Tonga. She and Rocky Wea seem to have like a moment off to the corner. The two of them are discussing something privately. And people are settling in and everything, and more people bringing food, more people bringing drinks. The people are setting up on stage. They have their drums and their instruments. And people are like mingling. And you do notice that there are some people there that you recognize from the Northcom, but there appear to be people there from that you don't recognize. People who have slightly different clothes, slightly different mannerisms that maybe indicates to you that they're from the other comms. And so a few minutes passes, everyone sort of, mingles and is chatting and laughing and things. The music hasn't started yet, though. And the woman called Tonga, like, takes the stage. And she raises her hands and the whole room goes silent. She says, "It's been quite some time since we've all had a gathering such as this, I know how much we all love dancing and playing around," and everybody kind of like, there's like a laughter that waves through the room. She said, "The world may have been broken, but we are not." And everybody sort of like erupts in this cheer. She says, "These are dangerous times in the world. And there's no time dangerous enough to stop us from dancing. So tonight, we've got some guests," and she kind of like gestures to the like group of you. She says, "We're going to treat them as our own tonight." And people start like looking at you. Some of the Northcom people you recognize are smiling at you. And she says, "So tonight we're going to cut loose. Because in the days, the weeks to come, we've got much work to do. So leave it all out here, all right?" And everybody's like laughing and cheering. She says, "Well, I've talked enough. Let's get this show on the road." And everybody starts cheering. And a number of folks who are on the stage, they reach for their instruments and they start to play. And it's pretty quiet at first. And you've got this soft rhythmic drumming that's going, and people aren't really dancing yet. You know, so a gentle flute starts playing. And Rocky Wea kind of comes to all of you in a group of you. She says, we used to have these celebrations quite a bit more often than we do now. It's a real tragedy if you ask me, because I'm probably the best dancer in all 4 comms.
Why did they stop
Just
being so frequent?
Just work to be done. You know, a lot of this is about binding the comms together. You know, keeping us all one unified people, even though. And she kind of looks around quietly, says, because largely we're not, but. You know, each comm has its own worries, has its own troubles, but it's kind of a binding dance, if you will, you know? Holds us all together, keeps us unified.
That's quite the opposite type of celebration we have in Bastion.
But it's perfect.
She looks at you and smiles.
Prefer this version.
Much so.
Same.
She says, I spoke with the other mothers. They would all like to meet with you tomorrow. Don't be nervous.
That's a good idea.
They're a bunch of old bitches, if I do say so myself. She kind of smiles. But we'll get you sorted out. Tonight, cut loose. Have yourself some fun. And you, she looks at Gabriel, she looks at you. I expect to see you on the dance floor, boy. I want to be impressed.
Absolutely.
Are there any rules to joining the
I don't think you'll
band?
be disappointed.
She looks at you, Faith, kind of shrugs. She says, just make sure people keep dancing. Sure, other than that, you'll be fine. And the music is coming up, and more of the drums are kicking in, and people are starting to get up to dance. And you see the curtain kind of open, and you see Sayala and Raquela walk in. The two of them are, it's not like incredibly intimate, but like they're holding hands. They're very close to one another, showing a lot more intimacy than you've seen, especially from Raquela in the last few days. They kind of enter, and Rocky kind of looks at all of you and smiles. And she sort of just walks off in the direction of the girls. And, yeah, people are getting up and dancing, starting to have some fun. People are sharing food and wine. You know, people have, like, cups out and dishes and things like that. Yeah, and you guys are free to engage however you would like to engage.
Faith makes starts to and then stops. Like, get up and like she's gonna move towards stage and then stops.
Okay.
A handful of times.
Okay. So you're, like, nervously approaching the stage.
Well, like she gets so I imagine they're on like one of the side tables, maybe even back, and she starts to stand up with her flute, and then sits down, looks at everybody, and just kind of listens. Very, yeah, stage fright, I guess, would be a thing.
Okay. All right.
After about
check
the
out
4th time of
the
that,
movie.
Marcus says, just get up there. You're good at what you do.
It's not that. Well, I've never performed as myself before. Not for a crowd like this.
Well, I believe they want to see us fit in. I think that's going to be one of the judgment calls that they make tomorrow when we meet the elders. So
No pressure.
I say,
Giselle has got a mouthful of food, and she's like, "They think you're pretty. Go do it."
And she'll just kind of nod and she'll head up with the flute.
And a couple of the
doing what
musicians look at you and nod. and they kind of like slow the music down and slow the rhythm down to like let you get on stage and you know, get yourself situated. And you know, it's a very rhythmic, think here very like Native American kind of drum, flute, that kind of music that's being played, but again, excellent for dancing. So yeah, you're gonna play?
Yeah, that's kind of what I had in mind for the sound,
Right.
because it's drums and flute, and so yeah, that's what she'd kind of kick in on.
So why don't you roll me a performance check?
Uh-huh. Oh god.
Okay. So you're able to keep along. What you end up playing, at least for the first little bit, is pretty basic. You're just trying to get into the rhythm, figure out what they're playing, find a rhythm that you can play, like find a melody that you can play with them that's going to suit the music and keep people dancing. It definitely doesn't hurt the music. It's not like a super great contribution.
Yeah.
But the musicians don't seem to mind. Like, you're not interrupting them. You're playing according to the rhythm and the beat. So, you know, you're good for the time being. So you start playing along with them.
Yes.
While Faith is doing that, is anybody else doing anything?
I get up and maybe approach a table where women aren't coupled with another gentleman or anything like that, or another woman, and introduce myself and offer them to dance.
Sure. Yeah. People are definitely eager to dance. But so these are people you don't know. Why don't you give me, I feel like, probably persuasion? Just because you're strange to them and they don't know how to... Oh, shit. So basically the entire table stands up to go dance with you. Like, everybody just gets up. Like, you are so...
I will pull the entire table out there with me.
Yeah, that you are...
Line dancing.
You are so persuasive and so beautiful that they're just immediately like, yes. So everybody gets up to go dance. In fact, I
will totally do like a Magic Mike routine with them surrounding me.
Oh, God.
I think that you're that Suyala and Raquela, who have been speaking to Rakiwea for a few moments, kind of, Suyala sees you get up and sees you start dancing, and she kind of like points, and Rakiwea looks over and her eyes go kind of sly, like she's looking and watching you, and her lips turn up in a smile, and she smiles at the girls, and she makes some gesture to Suyala and Raquela, and Suyala just grabs Raquela by the arm and like drags her to the dance floor, and the two of them start dancing together too. So you guys are all dancing. Faith is playing with the band. What is everyone else doing?
I think Marcus is
go ahead,
going to
Marcus.
dance too, but he's going to do basically that kind of
Capoeira. Is that what it's called?
Brazilian.
Yeah.
Yep, that's what it's called.
Capoeira.
Sure, I'll do some capoeira.
Okay, so you
I'll
start.
be the
Don't
the
kill
guy from
anyone.
Bob's
You're
Burgers.
gods.
So you start doing this very strange dance, with these kicks and flourishes. Why don't you give me an acrobatics check?
All right.
And then Marcus crits too. 18. Okay.
That's good.
So you start dancing to this rhythm. You're kicking around. At first, people are like really skeptical. They not sure if you're trying to kick them, but then they realize you're dancing to the music. And people start getting into it. They're watching you. A couple of the younger men actually start watching, and they're gonna start to try to, emulate you. They're gonna try to start doing what you're doing, but they're gonna take a few moments to watch, because this dance is fascinating to them for sure. So you're doing your capoeira. Gabriel's got everybody dancing on the floor. Faith is playing her music. Giselle?
Giselle's gonna, there's like food, right? So Giselle's gonna like grab a bit of food real quick because she hasn't eaten all day since breakfast. And then she's gonna scope out the prettiest girl that seems like she'd be down for another girl.
I mean,
and approach her.
Okay. And that people are arguing in the background. And then, okay, so I mean, okay. Would you have to make a check for that? And if so, what kind of check would it be?
Probably some kind of charisma check.
Insight to see if they're into women.
My gaydar.
Well, I
I would
I
say
would.
insight.
I mean, insight makes sense, but
Investigation.
no. Yeah, you're just trying to roll well, aren't you?
Yes, because I have a 5 in that.
I would give me a perception check. Actually, give
I'm
me a
good at that
perception.
too.
You are. Okay, so what you notice is you actually see a young woman who's probably like in her early 20s who is there's a guy sitting with her and he's like trying to get her to dance and she's not interested. And the reason you pick up on this is because she keeps glancing away at him to look at you.
Ooh, nice. So I'll go over to her.
Okay. And the man looks up at you, and his eyes go a little wide, just because he's never seen anyone who looks quite like you. And she looks up at you and says nothing. What do you say?
I think the lady would prefer my company. And she kind of slides into a chair next to her.
And she blushes super hard, and the guy like is a little confused. And then he looks up, and I think what happens is that he actually looks up and sees Sayala and Raquela dancing. And like for the first time it dawns on him, and he just like shakes his head like, I'm so stupid. And he just like looks at you and nods. Like he's dejected, obviously, but he just like gets up, walks away. And she just kind of looks over at you with this like tiny little smile.
Hello, my name's Giselle.
Hi. You're very beautiful.
Thank you. You are very pretty yourself. Would you like to dance?
Oh God, yes. And she's like practically jumping out of her chair to dance with you.
All right, I'll dance with her.
Okay. So you guys are all dancing. Yinkin, you're the last. What are you doing?
Not dancing, actually. I'd be off to one side. I'd be watching everything and not like trying to be a downer or anything, but
Wallflower.
Yeah, hardcore wallflower.
Okay. Are you just watching? Are you trying to like talk with anybody? Like there's a bunch of people here, like
Nope, I'm just again, I'm watching more than anything because this is something that I'm almost used to, but it's not with the right people, so I'm a little uncomfortable.
Okay. Yeah, so you guys are all dancing, having a good time. People are laughing and eating and drinking. You can almost feel the moon coming up, the stars coming out of the sky. People are excitedly dancing. Before long, Gabriel, Rocky Wea finds her way to the dance floor with all these people that you've persuaded very, very well to come dance with you. And she just looks at you kind of expectantly. And she looks around at everybody else, and they all start to laugh and giggle, and they all kind of like step back.
I hold my hand out.
And she laughs. I don't think you're going to be able to keep up with me. And
I'll certainly try.
she immediately starts to stomp her right foot. And she's stomping it to the rhythm. And the people behind her start stomping their feet. And it becomes pretty evident to you pretty quickly that this is like a ritual dance, something that everybody knows. And they all start stomping back and forth, and they start to clap with the rhythm. They start to shake their hips. And she kind of expects you to move along with her. So I'll need you to make me probably a performance check.
Does the music change?
It does. It speeds up quite a bit. The drums kick in more. So Gabriel, you initially, like, she's starting to kick and sway. And it's like her whole body is just giving into the rhythm. You're able to keep up. You're watching her. You're watching other people. Faith, why don't you make me another performance check?
Yeah, shit. Hey, there we go.
There we go.
So yeah, like
This
they
place
start
is
to
rocking.
yeah. So finally, Faith, you're able to like find
I
their
got it
rhythm.
now.
You're finding your confidence again. You start to play the even the other musicians. For a moment, for just a brief moment, lose the beat because they are so surprised at what you're starting to do. The melody you're starting to throw out, that they finally like catch up with you. Now it's almost like you're leading them. Everyone's stomping their feet. The whole place is erupting in this just unbelievable explosion of noise. Marcus is doing his capoeira. Giselle, are you still dancing with this girl?
Oh yeah, I'm probably like testing my limits with her.
So what?
I'm probably testing my limits, like, touching her.
You heard her.
Gently.
I gotcha. Okay.
Touching and be touched.
And she's
seeing if she like shies away during certain, when she does certain things,
And she when this music starts, she's getting into it. I guess she's very much these people are getting into this music in such a way that it's almost like she feels you. She knows you're touching her, but she's given into the music, and it's overtaking her. People are, they're just so engaged with this. Marcus, presumably, are you still trying to do your capoeira?
Yeah, with
Okay.
I'll speed up with the beat, but
So why don't you make me another acrobatics check?
Getting kind of dizzy.
Damn,
Ooh,
you guys are
nice.
killing it.
we're really good at dancing.
You really are.
I started us off slow and we just ramped right up.
Yeah. So you're speeding up, kicking around, doing flips. You're doing it so well now that some of the younger men are getting involved. They're trying to emulate their moves. They're failing at it miserably, but they're like so engaged. Like everybody's stomping their feet. And people are drinking and laughing and enjoying themselves. Some people are getting a little frisky. Cough, cough, Giselle. And this goes on for the music continues. This goes on for another like hour or two. People are just engaged and happy and laughing. People are drinking and it's just a merriment. It's wonderful. You see, I think Yinkin, because you're not really engaged necessarily. You see, after a time, Rakela and Suyala they're being quite intimate. And before long, everybody here's sweating and glistening, and it's just this amazing feeling. Before long, Rakela just like pulls on Suyala's wrist, and the two of them, like teenagers, giddily just sort of skip out of the tent. And Suyala like wearing this huge smile as she exits. You see her; she smiles directly at you, and they just disappear. And you guys are everybody's just jiving and having a great time. Rocky Wea, Gabriel, actually, after a few minutes, she's had enough. She's an old lady. You've proved to her that you've got what it takes, and she smiles at you. And she kind of like backs out away from you, but as she does, she kind of like pushes forward some of the younger folks, and you're surrounded by these people, and everybody's dancing. And Rocky Wea kind of goes out, and she gets like a skin of water. And she kind of comes over to you, Yinkin, and sits down. And it's still pretty loud, but you guys are further away from the music. And she kind of sits down next to you. She doesn't like make eye contact with you. She just says, "What, boy? You can't dance?"
Not particularly well.
She said, "All we're doing is stomping our feet, honey. It's not hard."
I can see that, but makes me happy to see people can still do this.
She lets out a sigh. You and your friends, you seem like good people.
Some of us.
Well, for your sake, I hope all of you. She said, I'm an old lady. I'm tired. I think I'm going to head to bed.
I know better than to argue with a woman about her age. I learned that one real fast.
She kind of looks up at you and has this big smile. Like I said, good folk. She kind of reaches up with her small hand and like she does that grandmotherly thing where she like pinches your cheek. She said, "I'll see you tomorrow."
Well, would you like an escort? I mean, if you're that old, maybe you shouldn't walk anywhere by yourself.
Oh boy, you're treading here. You better be nice. She just smiles at you still playfully.
Have a wonderful evening.
Oh, I plan on it. And she kind of steps out and yeah, you guys spend the time dancing and having fun and enjoying yourselves. Faith is killing it with the music. You know, Gabriel is just dancing with everybody. Giselle's getting a little maybe too frisky in public. Ciala and Raquela are long gone. You know, Marcus is doing his capoeira, and the night finally begins to settle down. You know, people are finding their way back to the tables. Everybody is just drenched in sweat and pleasure and you know, just this communal sort of exhaustion in the best possible way. Yeah, the night finally concludes, and the musicians all, Faith, they come to you. You know, they're praising you and just really pleased with your work. They're really surprised you were able to keep up so well.
If her skin could like show a blush, it is. I don't know what that would be on a red purple skin tiefling.
Yeah,
You turn blue.
She seems so very pleased that being herself and being on stage is being accepted by so wide a crowd. Like she's ecstatic.
yeah. All right, so you guys finally, you know, the night starts to wind down. Where is everybody returning to, I guess is the question.
Question for the DM: who gets invitations elsewhere than the bar?
Well, I mean, there's an obvious invitation.
The barn.
There's an obvious invitation for Giselle.
Nice.
This young woman will take you back to her place if you're willing to.
Oh yeah, she's willing.
Okay. Gabriel, you get several invitations.
Invite them all back to the barn.
I think that's the problem. I don't think I would fight over them. I would.
Like, you're getting
Unless
invitations. I should point out, you're getting invitations from men and women.
Yeah. Because it's coming from so many people, I don't think I would go with anyone.
Okay, so you're just going to disappoint
I
everybody.
would call it a night. Yeah, I would call it a night. And...
Okay.
I'm genuinely surprised Chandra didn't jump him at some point.
Yeah, well, I think if anything, Chandra was kind of, there was definitely a jealousy about her. Seeing all these other people and everything, like, something about this has affected her, let's say. She, you know, she'll kind of just go back to the barn. Sorry, my brain burped. Marcus, a couple of the younger men kind of approach you, and they just want you to teach them. Like, what is this dance? Where are you from? You have to teach us how to do this.
I say it's takes a lot of time, but we're staying at a barn in the ground. If we're still here in the morning and I got time, stop by.
Okay.
You know, show anybody some basics so they can work on it. Right now, I'm really fucking tired though.
Yeah. And Faith, yeah, the musicians offer. They say, you know, that they all live near one another. Like, you're more than welcome to come hang out with them. Like, to talk about music and to see where you're from and everything like that. They're deeply invested in your music and you know, where you were taught, where you learned. Like,
Oh yeah, she'd be down for that. Fuck the barn.
okay, yeah. So you go hang out with the rock stars, and everybody settles into their respective places for the evening. You know, Yinkin, and it's funny. The boys are all returning back to the barn, aren't they? Everyone, the girls are not returning home.
Wow.
Yeah. So yeah, Faith is going to hang out with the band, and Giselle's going to hang out with her new friend.
Yes. Hang out.
Yeah, and the boys are all going to go back to the barn. Uh,
They're welcome to hang out too. No judging.
It seemed like this is how it went in the last game too.
yeah.
No. Not until like 3/4 of the way through it.
So yeah, you guys, you find your way to your respective beds, and you spend the night. Let's say we're not. Some of you probably aren't sleeping much. Yeah, and the night passes. It's a quiet, night. It takes a long time for you guys to wind down, except for Giselle and Faith, but specifically Giselle because she's not winding down at all. But yeah,
I'm just getting it ramped up.
Yeah, it takes you guys a little while to like calm down and like to like rest and and get to bed. Doesn't take Giselle long to get to bed. So
it's getting me out again. That's going to be the problem.
Yeah. So you guys, you spend your nights. The sun rises. Maybe some of you slept. Maybe some of you didn't. But something is going to happen first thing in the morning. So you had a late night. The sun begins to rise. Just as it has before. It's going to be a cloudier day, but it's still pretty warm, a little more humid. The sun begins to rise. We see the sun rising over the barn. Some of the sheep and goats begin to go about their business. And the audience here is invited to see as the sunlight rises up along the ground and it begins to crawl up the side of the barn. And as it does so, a single beam of light breaks through the barn, through one of the cracks or the holes, or it's still freshly built, so there might be a crack between the wood or what have you. And we see the singular beam of sunlight break through the barn, and we watch as it creeps along the floor, and it finds its way onto Gabriel's forehead. And for just a moment, it rests there, as if the sun has stopped moving. And Gabriel, you hear a voice that it speaks to you in Celestial. It sounds like it's coming from a great distance. It sounds like a woman's voice. And it says, "Why are you wasting your time?" And then abruptly, Gabriel, the entire barn is filled with light. And for the briefest of moments, you see a woman standing before you. Unbelievably beautiful. Long flowing golden hair. It appears as though she has wings. And she just basically screams in your face, "Get up!" And then abruptly, she is gone. The sun is up. You are awake. Yinkin and Marcus are still asleep. And you have this vibrating, shaking feeling about some angel screaming at you. What do you do?
I immediately get up, probably run to the door, look around, see if I see anything.
You see a couple sheep just like bleeding and back and forth in the grassland.
Just breathing heavily for being woken like that.
Do you find your way back into the barn?
Yeah.
Everyone else is sleeping soundly. Except maybe the old man. He's just kind of sitting there, has a pensive look on his face. He's just watching you. Something got you up. Had to pee?
Uh, yeah, that's what it was. Yeah.
Just sort of like turns away. Yeah. And how does everyone else find themselves in the morning?
Getting ready to go back out to work on the farm.
Just going to sleep.
So the sun's coming up and Giselle's just going to bed.
I imagine since we were doing all the playing and very little drinking, in some cases, the band, quote unquote, stayed up, had their drinks and conversation, but they were drinking a lot more than they were speaking. It was a lot of like fractured statements followed by shots. So like maybe the 10 of us or however many there were just kind of collapsed in somebody's like living room to an extent.
Oh yeah, it's very much like Fiona Apple, like 90s rock star. Yeah, everyone just kind of gets drunk and passes out.
Yeah, so Faith's probably curled up against like the side of somebody's couch, you know, very contently, but like a half a bottle of some liquor, you know, empty at her feet.
Okay, just kind of like wakes. Do you wake up like first thing like just hung over as shit?
Let me make a con save.
Yeah. Okay.
Yup.
Oh
Wow.
So you're considered poisoned from being so hungover. You drank so much. Yeah, you're.
And she forgot to eat.
Oh yeah, I didn't eat for shit.
Yeah, she was too busy playing music. Yeah, so the sun comes up. You immediately have a headache. You still feel drunk. All of the other musicians are completely passed out. Nobody's moving. Yeah, so what do you do, Faith? Do you find your way back to the barn? Like, what do you...
I think it'd be a lot of like get up, stumble into a wall, give myself a few seconds, start like using my tail to kind of reach out in front of me to assist my hands as I kind of find my way blurrily through this abode. Try not to fall down whatever steps I have to take to the barn.
Okay.
And whoever's the first one out of the barn just sees Faith kind of stumbling up, like pleased as a pig in shit, and looking about the same.
Probably smells like it too. Probably alcohol just coming out of your pores.
Smells like Fireball.
Yeah, so it's either Gabriel, I think, or Yinkin who probably sees you, because Yinkin's getting up early to work.
He just arch a brow really slowly.
It sucks.
Then why are you laughing? Actually, come here. I know a remedy for this. And he will actually lead you into the barn.
Oh my god, what kind of remedy is this? Here, put this in your mouth.
Faith just kind of blindly follows.
He will lay her down on her stomach, touch the sides of her temples for a minute.
Is this helping? Feels funny, actually.
You want to bet?
Oh.
Yeah, so you're no longer poisoned.
Okay.
Now you just need to get some sleep.
Yeah, that sounds...
Some actual sleep, not drunken stupor.
Yeah, yes, Dad.
I hope my children never come home like this. And he just goes back out to start working the farm.
Okay. Marcus, Gabriel, like, how do you, Gabriel, you had your little alarm. How do you wake up? Like, how do you spend your morning?
I'd probably get up a little bit after hearing Faith come stumbling back in.
Mm-hmm.
Head outside, do my morning martial arts, and see if any of the people from yesterday have showed up.
No.
I'll just be outside doing that for a while.
Okay. Yeah, none of the boys show up for some reason. Maybe it's because they were a little drunk too, but you don't know. Yeah, so you wake up and do some Tai Chi. And Gabriel, sorry, how do you?
The biggest thing is cleaning up. I'm sure we were crazy sweaty from the club, and
Mhm.
we really haven't discussed like anything in the barn that there is to clean up with.
Yeah, I mean, there's the river's
So
not far, so you could go and bathe
yeah,
yourself.
yeah, I would absolutely go to the river.
Okay. Um. Yeah, and Giselle, so you find yourself going to bed first thing in the morning, just
Oh,
covered in sweat and, let's be frank, sex, um,
yeah.
with this young woman who does have a name, by the way, in case you were wondering, since that never came up. Um,
She would have asked her name.
yeah, she introduces herself as Kia.
Kia.
You could just call her Kia for short if you'd like. Um,
Kia. Is she a
uh,
sport?
Stop it. So, yeah, the two of you just like crumble after a night well spent. Um, and a couple hours pass. Gabriel goes and cleans. Faith is still snoring and probably drooling over herself in the barn. Yinkin is doing work. Um,
Well, if no one shows up, I will take Faith's flute and fix it
oh, okay.
while
All
she's
right.
asleep. So and then put it back.
Okay. All right. So yeah, you guys spend a couple hours, doing your thing. At about what we'll call like 10 a.m. Um, Raquela actually shows up at the barn, and she is dressed in her leathers. She's got her arms up. She's got her weapons. Um, Yinkin, you see her coming, from a distance, so you can probably like head over to the barn and um,
Yeah, absolutely. I'll finish the animal I'm working. Finish working with the animal I'm working with and pass it off to probably the same little girl who's been out there the entire time.
mm-hmm. Yeah. And yeah, she makes her way to the barn and greets all of you. Um, she says, "The time has been set. The the mothers would like to meet with you. High noon."
Heat of the day. Fair enough. Good time to be inside.
I won't judge that.
Where are we to meet them?
There's like a pause with her. She says, "Make your way back to Rocky Way's abode. You'll be led from there."
Has anyone seen Giselle?
She left with that one girl. Don't know where.
And Raquela just nods. She says, "She will be made aware of the situation shortly." I urge you to be honest with them and yourselves.
Will they be honest with us?
She kind of shrugs. That is not my place to say. At the very least, I've never known Rocky Way to be dishonest. If you need nothing further, I'll take my leave.
Good hunting.
Thank you. She kind of like heads out, away from the mesa, away from the barn. um, Giselle, you are woken up by a giggle and a rapping at the door of this young woman's apartment.
Hmm.
And Kia wakes up very suddenly and like looks at you and smiles.
Oh, good morning, beautiful.
Yeah, there's someone at the door.
I'll get it.
No, maybe
Yes.
I should. Uh,
You
Okay.
stay right there.
And she
I'll get up
blushes.
the door.
And you get up and go to the door, and you open the door, and it's Sayala. And, like, her whole body language, her whole facial expression is nothing but pure joy. She's so giddy. She's like, hi.
Hello.
It's like, so how was your night?
Really, really good.
Yeah.
Just getting over with, actually.
And, like, she's, like, trying to look past you at Kia. And Kia's, like, buried herself, like, under like, a blanket. You know, she's, like, trying to hide her face. Ciala's just like, well, yeah, okay.
Giselle didn't bother to put anything on when she answered the door, by the way.
Yeah, and I mean, Ciala's not looking away. It's like, so I come bearing a message.
Okay.
The mothers would like to meet with you.
Hmm.
High noon. Make
What
your
time
way.
is it?
You have a couple hours.
Good.
You'll meet at Rocky Way's abode. I might recommend putting on some clothes. I mean, not right away, of course. She kind of winks at you. But soon.
Yeah, I'll do that.
And she just like looks at you for a moment and smiles, and she's just so giddy, and she's like, "Well, I should get going."
Yes. Thank you for bringing me the message.
Of course. Take care.
You too. She gives her a wink.
Yeah, and she just like turns and like she practically skips away. Yeah, so you guys have a limited amount of time before you're expected to meet the council.
Fun.
So
Somebody better wake Faith the fuck up, because she ain't getting up on her own before noon.
Yeah, waking up like with an hour to spare.
okay. Does anybody do anything specific in that time?
I'm gonna ask Kia if she has a bath.
Yeah, she can aid you in that request.
If I've got an hour to spare, I'll hit the river.
Okay. Excuse me. Yeah, so yeah, you guys get cleaned up. And unless anyone has anything else to do, yeah, we can cut to meeting at Rocky Way's abode.
I think that works.
Cool.
Okay. So
Sure.
yeah, you guys all get cleaned up. You get bathed, spend your time however you'd like. Yeah, you meet, the guards are there. They sort of gesture for you to head inside. You make your way back through this winding tunnel into Rocky's place. She's waiting for you there in the room. She's dressed more formally than you've seen. You've only really seen her in like work clothes, like, farmer's clothes, something like that. She has on what we can reasonably assume is some sort of like ritual outfit, something of leathers. There are feathers and jewels, and she looks up at all of you. How was your night?
Best in a long time, I assume, looking around the group.
Lovely.
Very good.
Yeah.
We certainly appreciate the hospitality.
Well, let's hope that's not the last time you and I get to dance together, young man. She like looks at you, Gabriel, gives you a wink.
I guess it's up to you to determine that.
And your sisters.
Are you all prepared? Do you need a moment?
To be fair, I'm not really sure what to expect, so as ready as we're going to be, I'd think.
What she said.
Can you tell us, are they planning to decide whether or not we would be allowed to stay or not, or the others, the old man and the few people that had come with us. Or is
Who I
this
assume are with us, right?
Yes, they are. They're, you know,
Okay, they're all with us. Okay.
yeah.
Whether it be, so then I'll say whether it be everyone or just those that want to stay.
She kind of nods. She says, "It should all make sense once we get inside."
All right.
You'll do fine. She says, "You're gonna head down that way," and she points at one of the doors that we've seen before. She said, "It's a pretty straight tunnel. Heads to some stairs. You're gonna head down." She looks at all of you and smiles. "You're gonna do great."
Can I insight check that?
Yeah, sure.
Like, does she actually believe what she's saying?
Yeah, she believes that you're gonna do well. Like, for lack of a better, she has faith in you.
Okay.
So she gestures for you guys to head to that door, and she's gonna head to the other one. You guys head through the door. It gets kind of cold. Like, even just walking through the door, you can feel that there's a temperature shift. You head down this tunnel. It goes to some stairs that curve downwards to the left. They're pretty long. It's dark. There's maybe dim light in here, but it's pretty dim. Of course, none of you have a problem with that. You head down this long staircase, and it comes out, and there is an opening that leads into a cavern. The cavern is, again, it looks very man-made. It looks like it was cut into the stone. It's very large and round. There's some jagged edges around. And then up above, there is I don't want to call it a staging area, but there's kind of another room up there that they can overlook this one. And as you guys all come out, you stand in this large chamber. I'm going to say, what am I going to say here?
You're the DM. I don't know.
I know. I'm sorry. I didn't plan this out very well. I'm thinking it's a fairly large room, maybe like 50 feet across. 50 feet deep, give or take. So it's a fairly large room, and it's colder down here for sure. And you all kind of position yourselves in this room, and there's a stone floor. There's some like dirt and things on it. It's not like soil. It's not, it's a rock, it's a cavern. But there's some like dirt and things that have probably fallen down. And before long, you see up above you, there are 5 women that step forward.
5 women, but only 4 comms.
Yeah.
Okay.
So 5 women step forward, one of whom you immediately recognize as Rocky Weya. Another one steps forward that you also recognize from last night. It is Tonga Weya, who is the mother of the South Com. There are 3 other women, again, you do not recognize. One of whom, surprisingly, maybe, appears to be a half-orc. So there is Rocky Weya, who's a halfling, Tonga Weya, who is a human, the half-orc woman, who you don't know, and there is another halfling woman, excuse me, and in the center of all of them is a human woman who appears quite old, probably in her 80s, if not her 90s. And each of them wears something that clearly represents the comm that they're from. So Rocky Wea wears leather, but also she wears things that have been made from like the cloth or the wool from the sheep, for example, or skins that have been obtained by the hunters. Tongawea, who is from the south, she actually has a kind. It's not exactly a crown, but it's made to look like grain, like a long grain of like wheat or something like that. The half orc from the East Com actually has a necklace of what looks like shells and pearls. And the woman, the halfling from the West, is actually wearing jewelry and like a necklace that looks like it's plainly made from metal, something that you wouldn't expect anyone in the comms to make. To answer your question, Giselle, I think Kia is. I think she's North Com. Like that makes the most sense to me.
Okay.
Just because so y'all are going to find you and that kind of thing. And the woman in the center, the very, very old human woman, is actually wearing something that almost represents each of the comms. She has on something that looks like pearls or shells. She has something that looks like leather, something that looks like the wheat, and then something that looks metal. Like she represents all of them. And they all look down at you. And it's just quiet. It's almost like you can hear yourself breathing in this cavern. There's a breath. And Rocky Wea speaks first. And she says, "These are strangers to our lands. They have proven themselves as friends. They wish to make Haven a safe place for them and their friends. It is our duty, sisters, to determine their worth. If they are welcome to stay." And all of the women kind of nod. "To you, strangers, that we would call friend, a trial has been proposed to see to your worth, to see that darkness that you bring with you will not corrupt the haven. Before we begin, you might have questions. Now would be your turn, your time to speak. You are welcome to ask questions of us. If you would have them, speak now. And this is a moment that you guys have if you question.
Is this going to be like a combative trial or
you don't know
questions? This is what she's asking.
Well, it could be both. You don't know.
No, she's actually asking the council that.
I'm actually asking them.
And the old woman, steps forward. Do you wish for combat?
Not particularly. Just curious.
It is yet to be decided.
Interesting.
This is not the first time you've spoken of the darkness we bring. Maybe we've been in it too long, but what darkness are you speaking of?
I'm an angry baby, I know it.
The half orc who wears the shells and the pearls steps forward. She says, others of your kind have come here. They bring anger, hatred, violence. That place from whence you came, it taints you so. We cannot do anything to risk the safety and serenity of the haven.
Marcus steps forward. He says, but isn't there a darkness here already? And I pull out the figure of the werewolf that I've been carving. And I hold it up to them. We were told that some of your own people are becoming these creatures. And you have very interesting ways of dealing with it.
And the Rocky Wea steps forward. It's true. This corruption does touch our lands. But this is not the corruption that you bring with you. This is ours to deal with and ours to cut away. And the old woman in the center steps forward once more. She says, Rocky Wea, these people question the great Balinor. And Rocky Wea looks a little chided when she says it. 'Tis not our place to question the gods. She looks down at you, Marcus. Would you question the gods, boy?
What gods?
And there's like a humming that comes from above, from where the women are.
For what it's worth, in Bastion, there are no gods, there are no demons, any more than what you see here in myself and Gabriel. We are the closest thing that they believe to be gods and demons. His kind revered, my kind reviled. So I think his question is less what gods to question your faith, but as in, we don't understand. Which is why we question.
And Rocky Way again steps forward and says, and it's clear to you that she's trying to defend you. She's trying to fight on your behalf. It's like something is happening up here that maybe you don't fully comprehend, but you do recognize Rocky as trying to fight for you. She says, in Goa, they don't question, that's the wrong accent. They're not questioning the great Balinor. They don't share the same gods as we, as you or I. If anything, that they've been a boon to us. They saved one of our hunters. They're already practically members already. And the woman in the center just like begins to cough. She says, if they wish to be members, they will prove themselves not before us, but before them. And she like raises her arms up as if to the ceiling. And the whole room kind of shakes. There's like a shaking. You see that dirt on the floor begin to shake. And Rocky Wea, like her whole body kind of stiffens a bit. And she looks as though she's gritting her teeth.
Can I do an Arcana check to see if this is like magically shaking or something else?
Yeah, you can make an Arcana check. Yeah, I mean, there's something unnatural here. Like this is not a natural shake at all.
Yeah, I guess the question was, did the woman in the center cast a spell, or is this like a religious? This is actually like a divine intervention situation.
Yeah, she did have something to do with it. It's not simply that she cast a spell, though. But
Okay.
yes, this is something unknown to any of you. And the room begins to shake gently. You see the dirt and things begin to spread out and vibrate across the room. Your NPC friends basically all immediately, except for, strangely, Jalen, the boy, pulls up his crossbow, given to him by Gabriel. They all sort of back up toward the walls. And
Put that down.
the ground continues to shake a bit. And the rock almost begins to transform in front of you. It starts to shape itself after a fashion. And you see that the dirt and debris begins to kind of mold and shape. And more dirt is kind of coming down from the ceiling, and it's coming out from the walls. And it forms itself on the ground here in this room. And the colors begin to shift. It's almost like the colors in the room begin to change. And for a moment, it just looks like there's a large skeleton on the ground. It looks like a massive spine. And all of the dirt kind of forms into this thing. And then you see a large head form from the dirt in this skeletal fashion. And I don't know if this is going to work. It's not. And all of you see as this thing reaches up from the ground, it looks like this. And all of the women are standing, watching this happen, watching this thing emerge. And I think we'll pick up there next week.
It's a snack. It's a snack.
Why did it have to be snakes?
It's not even like a normal snack either. It's like a
Bone snake.
creepy bone snake.
Yeah. So,
It's a me.
yeah. We'll pick up next week with you guys facing off against a giant bone snake. Which, well, no, never mind.
And you just whipped your boner out.
Yeah, I was going to make another joke. I was going to say that, like, maybe one of you already fought a bone snake last night, but none of you did, actually, so.
Nope.
I don't know. I mean, if Gabriel's bumping and grinding anybody, he's fighting his own snake.
It's true. It's possible. So, yeah, we'll pick up next week with you guys, in this cavern. Sound good?
Yeah. Sounds good.
Okay, I smell dinner. So we'll pick up there next week. Hopefully everyone had fun.
Yes.